Good evening and welcome to Darlington International Raceway, or Darlington Raceway. Call it what you will. Tonight, these drivers will call it their nightmare. My name is Darryl Worley. Alongside me is Tim Terry and Nim Cross as we get set to bring you NASCAR iRacing.com Series World Championship Racing action live on PSR TV. And Tim Terry, Darlington Raceway offers up some very unique challenges. We've seen these challenges roll out in one-on-one competition and single-car competition in the past. Tonight, 43 drivers for the first time in a broadcasted race.
And turns 1 and 2 are different than turns 3 and 4. We have 183 laps to run, about 250 miles or so to virtually run around this Darlington Raceway. We have 43 drivers that are ready to get at it. We have some drivers that need good runs to turn their seasons around, and we have guys that want to continue their fantastic season. And them, these drivers just getting ready to go racing here in about 6 minutes time, and it presents many different challenges, not even looking at the track being different in both ends.
Yeah, Darlington is known as the Lady in Black, and that's because this track is very narrow and very fast. Turns 1 and 2 is a double apex corner. You go down in turn 1 very fast, and you have to go up in the middle of the corner. You go up against the wall, and you get back on the throttle in the middle of the corner, and then have to let off again to come out of the corner out of turn number 2. It's very tricky. Then turn number 3 and 4 is a lot tighter than turn number 1 and 2. It's a lot slower. It's only 2 lanes as it is the whole way around this track, and that's why they call it the Lady in Black, because it's bound to get up and fight everybody before this race is over.
Tonight is race number 7 of the championship campaign for these drivers. Ray Alfala is our current points leader. He leads by 4 markers over Thomas Hazard. Josh Parker sits 3rd in points, followed by the rookie Brad Wright. Josh Berry sits 5th, followed by Tyler Hudson, John Gorlinski, Chris Main, Derek Wood, and the rookie Jeremy Allen. 2 of our top 10 drivers in points, Tim, are rookie drivers. And as a matter of fact, 4 of our top 15 drivers are rookies as well.
Very solid so far this season, our rookies are, and they could very well end up walking away with the championship here. It's just the competition is so great among the 50 drivers that we do have that qualified for this series from last season's NASCAR iRacing Series World Championship and also the Pro Series. But you look at drivers that are struggling. Last season's champion, Richard Towler, 40th in the point standings, 72 points compared to Ray Alfala's 229. But Nim, this might be the race that changes everything. Richard Towler currently 2nd in the practice session and currently 1st on the board when it comes to qualifying. He'll lead us to green.
Yeah, Richard Towler will start on the pole tonight with a 26.806 timed lap, and this could be a good way to turn around. It's definitely the place you want to start here at Darlington, because when the green flag drops, he'll have a nice open course, and he won't have to worry about all the traffic and the checkup that's going to happen once you get into these corners on the first lap. So the best place to be is out front of this track, and he's got a good starting spot.
He's got a great starting spot, and a lot of these drivers have the starting spots that they didn't want. They weren't hoping for starting spots deep in these fields, and Vinny Sansone will start very deep in this field. He will start all the way back in the 43rd position, not where Vinny wanted to start here. Speaking of starting, Brian Blackford will start his first race in a long time. So Brian Blackford making his return to the NASCAR iRacing.com Series World Championship. We welcome him back to the racetrack, and Blackford Snowplows back in business.
And considering he nearly did not qualify for this race, he turned in a 27.476. It's going to put him 42nd on the grid. We did have 2 drivers that did not qualify for this race, Ben Sexton and Chad Coleman. We also had 2 pro drivers that attempted to qualify for the race should the regulars not make the field, as Jim Caudell Jr. and Marcus Lindsay did attempt to qualify for this race. Last season's winner, Josh Berry, is going to start in position number 12. So near the front of the field, but still in traffic when we take the green flag, man.
Yeah, that's right. A lot of traffic, and if you're starting anywhere from this, first or second row back, you are in traffic, and everybody's got to get single file or be very careful going into turn 1 on the first lap. And turn 1 is very fast, but on the first lap, everybody's going to be checking up because they're all going to want to get single file, and the further you go back through the pack, it's going to accordion. So those guys in the back are going to have to be really knowledgeable and on their game getting down in the corner number 1, because everybody in front's going to be checking up, and they got to understand that and be careful about it. And on all these restarts, not just the start of the race, but all the restarts we're going to see tonight, turn 1 is going to be something. And then if they get it going, turn 2 is going to be just as tough.
We've been told that turn 2 will be the trouble spot here tonight. We'll have to wait and see if that comes to fruition, and I've got to believe it will be the difficult spot for these drivers. Getting up into the outside wall in turn 2 could be an issue. You get up into the outside wall in turn number 2, and it could spin your car around, causing major problems on the racetrack. And the other issue, Tim, that these drivers will deal with that they didn't have to deal with last year, outside of the 6 extra cars on the racetrack, which I don't think will be an issue for all that long, will be that meatball flag, the flag that comes out to let you know that your car has simply too much damage. I think that will be a telling factor here tonight.
And as these guys get going to the grid, Daryl, just remember, if you hit this wall at Darlington, you hit it too much, you're going to get that meatball flag, and it's going to have to bring you down that road.
We're going to go ahead and let you know who will start where momentarily. We'll give you your starting lineup. We've already told you who will be starting position at number 1, so we'll go ahead and start right there. Starting in P number 1, the number 16 car of Richard Towler, the Whiskey River sponsored ride, and outside of him, the Suave for Men Products number 20 of Josh Parker.
Next up on the grid is a driver that sits 11th in the point standings. It's Brad Davies, and to the outside, second in points, Thomas Hazard.
On the inside of row number 3 is car number 2 of Ray Alfala, your current point leader. Outside of him, position number 6, car number 41, Eve Sheehan.
Derek Wood will start inside of row number 4 in the number 9, and outside of him, the number 10 machine of Brian the Whole Schoenberg.
As these drivers roll off, 15 is going to be the 15th driver is going to be John Gorlinski. He's driving number 15. 13 on the outside is Brad Wright.
Position number 11 goes to Richie Davidowitz in car number 11. Outside of him, in row number 6 is Josh Berry in car number 4.
Daniel Pope will start 13th in the number 26, and starting 14th, the number 21 of Connor McKenzie.
How about the number 30 of Chris Main starting on the inside of the next row on the outside, 37, Justin Lowry.
Starting 17th, Stephen Gilbert in car number 32. Starting 18th, Patrick Fogo in the pink car, number 40.
Thomas Lewandowski will start 19th in the number 19 car, and starting 20th, the number 23 of Pedro Mojica.
17 and 18 next up on the grid, Matthew Moose on the inside, and on the outside, Byron Daly.
23rd position, Robert Hall. 24th, Florian Goddard.
Joshua Lawton will start 25th in the number 12, and starting 26th, the number 1 of Tyler Hudson.
Next up is Jameson Spees, 14, Jean Costa, 31.
29th, Nolan Scott, and 30th is Jordan Erickson.
We'll get to the rest of the drivers in just a little bit. We've got Fayash, Casper, I apologize, and the rest of these drivers. Green flag flies. We are underway as we head towards turn number 1 at Darlington.
Fantastic start for your leader, Richard Towler. He gets out over Josh Parker, and one thing we're seeing is these guys are starting to get single file.
Yeah, everybody cooperated right there going down the corner number 1. You can see everybody just kind of spread out and got single file. They know how hard this track is as Josh Parker gets real high, and you'll see that for most of the race in corner number 3 and 4. Everybody's going to be high up against the wall trying to get a run out of corner number 4 and down the front straightaway.
Richard Towler is your race leader. Josh Parker sits in second spot right behind him, trying to get a good look at Richard Towler's race line. Now Josh Parker takes a peek down to the inside, battle for the top spot. Parker down to the inside, Richard Towler on the outside. Towler trying to hang tough on the high side, and Richard Towler does. Towler holds Parker off at least for now.
But you saw it in the middle of corners number 3 and 4. The 20 slid up just a little bit, and it's the nature of this beast. And just up the racetrack a little bit and couldn't get that run off the corner that Richard Towler could to take the lead away. And now Parker falls under fire from Brad Davies.
Yeah, that was all momentum, but Parker looks really strong here. Towler may be holding up these top 4 just a little bit, going around 3 and 4 here, but Parker looking really strong. But you're right, Towler was able to use that momentum off of the high line down the front straightaway to hold on to that position.
So it's Richard Towler, followed by Josh Parker, Brad Davies, Thomas Hazard, and Ray Alfala. Your top 5 as they head here down the backstretch at Darlington Raceway. Towler is your race leader. Parker sits in second, your top 5. And now the majority of this field now single file here at Darlington, trying to click off some laps at the track too tough to tame.
Looks like the battle up front is for second, third, and fourth right now. Parker falling back into the clutches of Brad Davies and Thomas Hazard as Richard Towler starts to inch his lead out just a little bit further. 2 car lengths between your top 2 drivers.
We'll be doing a lot of talk about the Darlington stripe tonight, as Parker may have gotten a little bit of it there on his right rear corner. But what that Darlington stripe is it's so easy to get up against the wall here that everybody by the end of the race will have a stripe going down the right side of the car. Back in the old days, this used to be a single strand guardrail going around this track, and the drivers used to lay right on that, and that used to just make a stripe all the way down the side of their car. So these drivers affectionately call the Darlington stripe down the right side when they get in the wall here, and pretty much everybody will have one by the end of this race.
And one of the things they have to worry about is Jamison Spieth losing positions here on the number 14. He's back to spot number 23. One of the things these drivers will have to concern themselves about, we talked about it earlier on in the pre-race, Tim, is that meatball flag. If they get too many or too thick of a Darlington stripe, they could damage their race cars to the point that they get that meatball flag. We've been told it's very sensitive here at Darlington, that meatball flag, and they're concerned, the drivers are, that if they brush that wall too hard, they'll get that meatball flag, have to pull in and make repairs, and that'll get them well off the pace.
And the purpose of that meatball flag in racing is if your car is damaged, it's leaking fluid, it's dropping debris, that's really the reason to come down. But we're still out here looking at that, and it could very well hit the wall and think that it's in the virtual world dropping debris. So it's one thing to watch here. If you smack the wall too much, it might knock something out. It might knock out the toe on your car, and it might want you to come down onto pit road. And of course, if you hit the wall hard enough, it's going to might end up back in the rear of this field.
That last time through corner number 3 and 4, Derek Wood got up in the wall a little bit in corner number 3 and got himself a bit of a Darlington stripe. He's running back there in the 6th position right now, all by himself. But in that time, the 6th car, Brad Davies through 3 and 4, got himself up in the wall a little bit, and now the 5 of Thomas Hazard has a run, but he's going to back off and let Davies get back in line.
Steve Sheehan trying to hold off the number 10 of Brian Schoenberg. Schoenberg shows him a nose here to the inside at Darlington Raceway. Schoenberg has no choice but to drop back in line. May have caught the wall. Now Schoenberg starts to see some pressure. Number 4 of Josh Berry.
And here comes Josh Berry. Berry looking up here and trying to take the advantage. It's still early, but track position, as we mentioned earlier to him, very, very key. And if Josh Berry can get that one position, it'll inch him one step closer to a win that he got last season.
Yeah, everybody is going to do the, if there's a position to be had, they're going to take it right now. But everybody right now is in survival mode. They're out there, the track has a really high reputation on eating up cars and eating up drivers. So right now, everybody's being really conservative. They're getting around the track. They're doing a great job. And they're giving a little bit right now, which will probably go away later on the race where they probably won't have as much give. But they'll take a position right now if they can get it. But right now, I think these guys are pretty content to just stay in line. It's a long race, 183 laps. We're working lap number 12 right now, so there's still a long way to go, and these guys are just putting in laps right now.
RT continues to lead this one. Josh Parker sits in second. Brad Davies is third. Thomas Hazard is fourth. And fifth belongs to Ray Alfala. And I think right now, Tim, Ray Alfala content to just sit there and ride. Brian Schoenberg just got up into the outside wall. That'll slow his progress quite a bit, the number 10.
And you look at this race, you look at Ray Alfala riding, you look at some of these guys in the middle of the pack trying to get track position. It is still a 183-lap race. We work lap number 14 right now. If you're up in front and you're free of traffic, Nim, go for it. keep those laps under your belt and book those laps and get those laps done under green. But if you're in the middle of this hornet's nest, it's a racer's mentality. You see somebody in front of you that you think you can pass, you're going to go for it.
Yeah, last time through 3 and 4, Patrick Fogel made a pass on the 11 car of Richie Davidowitz. Davidowitz got up in the corner 3-0 all. He definitely has a black Darlington stripe on the right side of his car, and we'll see how much damage there is and if he'll have to make a pit with that meatball flag. But he looks to be okay right now, but pretty hard contact with the wall up in turn number 3.
Early in the race, the last thing you can afford to do is start bouncing your car off the wall, and obviously it's the last thing these drivers are trying to do, but it's not something they can control. You have to drive on the ragged edge as Schoenberg in the number 10 continues to wiggle his way around this racetrack, losing position. One driver that's not losing spots is last year's race winner, Josh Berry. Berry continues to pick up positions. Josh Berry has moved his way into the top 10. Josh Berry is 9th.
And you don't want to put yourself in a hole early in this race as Josh Berry gets up into that 9th position and chases down Steve Sheehan in front of him. And he has about a second in between himself and Sheehan for that next position. But it's one thing to hit the wall, get that Darlington stripe. You don't want to put yourself in a hole early in this race and knock yourself off the rhythm.
Yeah, that's right. You definitely want to stay in rhythm here, and that's what these guys are doing right now. Barry is the guy on the move right now. He is now 5 seconds behind the leader that last time by. He's put 9/10 of a second on Brian Schoenberg, the car he just got around. So he's a guy on the move right now, and we'll see if he can't gain some laps or gain some time in this next few laps. The next car in front of him is Steve Sheehan.
Taking a look at your current points leader, Ray Alfala, the number 2 JDR Graphics car, as Ray Alfala works his way around Darlington Raceway. Ray Alfala currently rides in the number 5 position, and Ray Alfala was one of the lesser outspoken drivers, as these drivers all complained Raceway throughout the beginning of this week and last week. They all said, oh, turn 3 and turn 4 were this, turn 2 was this, and can we change this? Can we do this? Can we do that? And Ray Alfala simply said, gentlemen, stop complaining and drive your cars.
And that's exactly the mentality that these drivers are taking right now. We're going to hit 20 laps consecutive green this time by as Ray Alfala now under fire from behind as he tries to pass Justin Lowry in lap traffic. Here comes the number 9 right up on the back of the number 2. That's Derek Wood, and John Gorlinski is back there as well. Should something happen that Ray can't clear this lap traffic or he makes one mistake, enter the number 9 in the mix.
Lap car moves over and allows these guys through. This is a momentum track, and what happens here is when you come up on lap traffic, or even if you're trying to pass somebody for position and it doesn't work out, both cars slow down. And what happens is the cars behind get a big run as Derek Wood almost gets up into the 2 car of Ray Alfala just a little bit there, but he had to back off. But if you get your momentum killed, that allows the guys behind to get a really big run, and they have a lot of momentum coming down these straightaways. But you want to be single file by the time you get into the next corner. So you see that a lot at this track, and you see that a lot at Indy, which we'll visit later on in the season.
So your leaders continue to work their way through lap traffic. Ray Alfala encountering more lap traffic, and this is all lap traffic that your race leader, Richard Towler, has had to encounter. Look at this pass for the 5th spot. Thomas Hazard has, I believe, that's not Thomas Hazard, that's Derek Wood, has passed up Ray Alfala. That could be an important pass later on in the season. One position makes a big difference here in the NASCAR iRacing.com Series World Championship at the end of the year. That could be the difference in over $10,000 prize money, Tim.
It could very well be, and right now at this point, Ray Alfala falling under fire from John Gorlinski. Gorlinski saw that pass that Derek Wood just made. He wants to make the same pass, and he wants to get that 1 extra point on this championship chase. Meanwhile, as they battle and they navigate lap traffic, Steve Sheehan in the 41 getting bigger in the rear view.
Yeah, Sheehan's coming up. They got the 24 car. Lap car right in front of him, so he's going to get around him on the outside right now. So going down the front of straightaway. Sheehan trying to make his way inroads in on John Gorlinski. Josh Berry, we talked about before, was 5 seconds behind the leader. Still keeping about the same pace to the leader, but he is gaining on the 8th position car of Steve Sheehan. So Berry running as fast as your leader, Richard Towler, right now.
And your leader, Richard Towler, just turned a 28.426 second lap. 28.426 seconds. That's plenty quick here at Darlington Raceway as he continues to encounter lap traffic as Richard Towler, RT, looking to turn his season around and trying to gather what he can. And he's already said, you know, the goal now becomes top 20, top 15 in points. The idea of going back-to-back with world championships and taking home another $10,000 plus in prize money, that may have slipped away early in the season for Richard Towler. That's probably not a goal anymore. Now the goal is just to lock himself in for 2012's run to the championship.
And that number is top 25 if he wants to do that. He's had a horrible season on the road. He finished 2 laps last Saturday when we went racing. So it's tough on the road side. It's tough on the oval side. And for somebody that finished 1-2, 1 on the oval, 2 on the road, it's a tough pill to swallow this season. They are in heavy lap traffic. What can Josh Parker do? Can he navigate this lap traffic and maybe Richard Towler at the same time?
Well, he's right on Towler's bumper right now, and we talked about Richard Towler's woes. He competed in the Drivers' World Championship the road racing division last Saturday at Virginia International Raceway, and he got in an accident in that race too. So poor finish in that race. But right now, everything looking good. He's lap number 29. He's led all 29 laps up to this point. Still a long way to go though, and a lot of heavy traffic right in front of him.
What this has done is these drivers that are going a lap down, as now the 22 up into the outside wall trying to let these leaders by, what this is doing is it slows your leaders down just enough that it's allowing Brad Davies and Thomas Hazard, and to a lesser extent maybe Derek Wood, Ray Alfala, and the rest of these drivers to close in just a little bit on Richard Towler and Josh Parker, because maybe the drivers that are going a lap down, maybe they'll fight just a little bit to keep Richard Towler from passing them up, but they're not going to fight all that much to keep Josh Parker from passing them up or Brad Davies from passing them up because they're already that 1 lap down.
Indeed, you're right, Earl. I believe Brad Davies may have got into Sansone back there as he was putting Sansone a lap down. It might have brought those guys a little bit further behind the top 2 battle, and it might have closed in a little bit those guys from third on back as the leaders go past the number 27 right now of Andrew Fayash. And Darrell mentioned it, named Josh Parker, when he was passing Sansone, there wasn't a whole lot of room between Josh Parker's right side and Sansone's left side when they made that pass.
No, Parker is one of the most aggressive drivers out here you'll see on the track, and I was looking at that pass too, and I was thinking, wow, that was a pretty risky move right there. He made it work, and he didn't get clipped, but if he would have got clipped just a little bit right there, it would have sent him into the wall. Parker, a very aggressive driver, and that makes him who he is, and right now he's been kind of taming that aggression. He's up in 3rd in points now, doing really good, but you got to be really careful here at Darlington. One tiny miscue, and your race can be done.
We had a question come in about the meatball flag. If receiving the meatball flag is a verdict that you are deemed a danger on the racetrack, and the way it works, to the best of my knowledge, and Nim, you can correct me if I'm wrong. Actually, Tim, you can correct me if I'm wrong. I believe the way it works is it's a damage threshold. Once you pass that damage threshold, you get the meatball flag. So it's not that that you're actually a danger on the track or that you're putting anybody else in jeopardy, but once you reach that damage threshold, you get that meatball flag. So I believe that's how it works here within the iRacing service, and these drivers have to be very careful not to cross that threshold here tonight.
Yeah, what happens is if you receive enough damage to the suspension of your car, you will get deemed by the race control meatball flag, and you will have to damage to fix that. Now, we had an incident on the track between Steve Sheehan and Josh Berry that did not bring out a caution. It looked like Berry and Sheehan made some contact, and that put Berry's right front hard nose in the wall, and that will probably bring one of those meatball flags we were talking about. Very heavy damage to the right side of his car.
Your leader working his way through some very heavy traffic, Richard Towler, as he works his way around the number 7 of Jesse Atchison. Atchison running 31st. That means 30 drivers remain on the lead lap now. 30 drivers left on the lead lap. And Tim, a nice long green flag run, dare I say it, very surprising early on in this race.
We've seen a couple of races this season that have had a lot of cautions, as it looks like Jesse Atchison and Josh Parker nearly had a run-in going down the back straightaway here. Atchison, I think, just trying to get out of the way of the leaders, but they're also battling for 30th place position or so. As Darrell mentioned back there, they're battling for points as well. They don't want to let these positions go early.
Yeah, this lap traffic, now they're getting in lap traffic that's pretty quick, and it's a little bit harder to get around, but Towler doing a good job of getting around the lap cars. Now Josh Parker moving his way to the inside of some lap traffic. He's got Brad Davies right on his tail going down the corner, but Parker was able to make the move around the lap car, and now Davies making his way by going down the front straightaway.
If this race continues at this pace, more than half of this field will go a lap down, as Richard Towler setting a blistering pace and Josh Parker able to keep up with it, as is Brad Davies. The rest of this field dropping back just a little bit, and that's to be expected at a place like Darlington. Very, very complicated racetrack to make your way around, and I think a lot of these drivers just kind of hanging back and kind of just letting the race play out, letting everything play out. And I think a lot of these drivers as surprised as we are to see this long green flag run.
And we should mention one driver that's on the same straightaway as your leader, Richard Towler, is just ahead of your leader. That's Brad Wright in the number 13. We talked about him having a solid season so far in him. 4th in the points, the leading rookie. But the lady in black, she's not kind to rookies. She's not kind to veterans. Brad Wright within about a half straightaway of going a lap down here.
Yeah, Brad having a little bit of a tough time out there so far tonight. He might need an adjustment, which he may make on his first pit stop. Pit stop's probably coming up in 10 to 20 laps or so. But these guys right now, this long green flag run on this tough of a track, these guys are having a blast out there right now. This track, we call it the Lady in Black, and it's a very difficult track, but it is one of the favorites amongst most of these drivers. And it looks like we got a caution crash off of turn 2.
And that's the section of the racetrack that we pinpointed that we thought was going to be a difficult spot. The number 34 of Jordan Erickson. Erickson involved in the issue, and that car is very, very messed up, and that's a bad turn of events for Erickson. And I'm thinking, Tim, that may be a meatball flag right there.
I'm thinking it will be too. The front end of that race car is fishing towards the left of the racetrack, and the rear end fishing towards the outside wall. So that's a tough break for Jordan Erickson. He's one of those drivers, Nim, that's looking to put together a great run here to try to stick around that top 25.
Yeah, there's him and Tyler Hudson were going through corner number 2 there, side by side, and that's a really tough place to be side by side because you have to apex the corner again coming off the corner. They made contact, and around went the 34 car. The 1 car seems to have got away pretty clean, but the 34 car is pretty heavily damaged.
Here come the drivers' pit stops. The order now is everybody will come down pit road. I don't foresee anybody staying out, as we've had a nice long green flag run, especially for Darlington. When you compare this race this year to last year's race, this is an extraordinarily long run, as the majority of these drivers coming down pit road, the drivers that are eligible to come down pit road, will come down pit road this time by. Everybody else that's a lap down will come down next time by. And I believe 4 tires and a full tank of fuel, possibly some adjustments. I don't think we'll see anybody take 2 tires, Tim.
I don't think we will either. This track really abrasive on tires as Towler now in his box. The right side goes up on that Whiskey River race car. 2 tires going on there. We should see the left side going up as well. 4 tires on the Chevrolet Impala for Richard Towler. He's down and away, and it looks like he might win the race off pit road. Parker coming hard on the outside. He's going to be second.
Yeah, everybody's probably definitely going to make 4 tires here. What might make it interesting is if anybody has made some setup adjustments. Now we see Towler. Looks like he's going to the back of the field, so he may have had some kind of penalty on pit road, maybe a speeding penalty there. Might send him to the back of the pack. This should be real interesting. And this is one of his mistakes that has happened all year for Towler. Some of them is his own making, some of them not. But this is the typical of what's going on his season.
Richard Towler gets nabbed on pit road potentially, and he will go to the end of the line, and that could take Richard Towler out of contention for the win. That's a long way to go here at Darlington from the back to the front, even for the defending NASCAR iRacing.com Series World Champion Richard Towler.
And you have the high 20s in cars that are on the lead lap. We're showing 28 cars in the lead lap, plus a few drivers that are in front of your leader looking to get the wave around. So if we have 28 to 30 cars on the lead lap, let's say Richard Towler starts back there around that point, I tell you what, it's going to be tough to get up to the front of this field, especially with this strong competition that we have here in this NASCAR iRacing Series World Championship.
Well, you know he's got the car to do it, and you know he definitely can do it. But the problem is now he's in a position of his own making where he can get caught up in somebody else's mess. And at Darlington, it's very easy to do. So he's going to the back. There'll be 40 cars in front of him. He's got the car, and he can make it through. He's got plenty of time. But you know what's going to happen before he gets there.
Several cars getting the wave around as the pace lights go out. A gaggle of cars, I guess would be the proper term, getting the wave around. So a lot of drivers opting not to take the tires here. And Tim, that could turn out to be a very good decision if we get a pile up, they're able to avoid it, or a very bad decision if we get a pile up and they are it.
And the drivers that did get that wave around include Jesse Atchison, Jordan Erickson, John Prather, Dana Weimer, Jason Anderson, Robert Hall, and our international driver, Sandeep Banerjee from India. So if they do get a pile-up and they're able to avoid it, great opportunity to come down and get tires, and you get back on the lead lap. If we go green flag for a long while, and for a long while I'm meaning about 10 laps or so, Nim, they're going to be in trouble.
Yep, and you talk about opportunity. Josh Parker's got it. He's on the inside, and he takes off. Gets a big jump on Derek Wood coming down the front straightaway on the inside of Gorlinski, and Brad Davies there going down the corner number 2. See who comes out. It's not always a good idea to go side by side, but those guys made it work.
Look out the rear bumper of Derek Wood as they get it sorted out right behind him. They get single file coming out of turn number 2. Smart move by these drivers. This may allow us to get another extended run here at Darlington.
And that's what we saw in the first restart. The first start of this race is the number 6 is down on the apron. Brad Davies is going to lose a position. No, he's not. Back up on the racetrack he comes. Now it's side by side. Ray Alfala and John Gorlinski. And Gorlinski pulls his foot out of it. Single file racing here for the time being. I like this strategy. These guys are logging laps.
Yeah, everybody doing a good job there. You can use the apron a bit here going into the corners if your car's set up right and if you're patient enough. But the aprons are usable here a little bit, and they should be. Look how big they are, and we got a car spinning.
It's the 39 car of Sandeep Banerjee, and the streak continues for Sandeep Banerjee, and it's a bad luck streak for Sandeep Banerjee. That's 23 out of 23 races for Sandeep Banerjee. He has been involved in an incident. Yes, I said 23 out of 23 for Sandeep Banerjee. He has yet to have a race that he's not been involved in an incident. They haven't all been his fault, but he has yet to have a race that he has not been involved in an incident, and that includes the Vegas race that he won last year. He was involved in an incident there as well.
And Sandeep was one of the drivers that got the wave around, stayed out on the racetrack on old tires. Could that very well be a product of the staying out on the racetrack?
I don't think so. It looks like Jesse Atchison, for some reason, coming out of the corner number 2, maybe he got up into the wall and he slowed down, and Sandeep had nowhere to go. Sandeep was right on his bumper. If he had new tires, he would have probably even been closer to his bumper. So I don't think that was a factor here, as Jesse Atchison got up in the wall and caused those issues right there for Sandeep. And Sandeep's car is pretty heavily damaged, so he's going to have a lot of repairs to do before he get that car back out on the track.
So pit stop for the drivers involved in this one, and pit stops for us as well. We'll take a break. We'll go ahead and let you catch your breath as well. We'll come back with more. You're watching the NASCAR iRacing.com Series World Championship right here on PSR TV.
iRacing.com is the premier online racing simulation featuring head-to-head competition on your PC. Race from your home PC, competing on the world's best real-world cars and tracks. Thousands of race fans and scores of pro racers like Dale Jr. and Justin Wilson are already racing at iRacing. Experience the thrill of victory yourself and go racing today at iRacing.com.
Welcome back here on PSR TV as we get set to go back to Green Flag Racing. Josh Parker is your race leader as we head down the backstretch. And Tim, it's going to be Parker, Wood, Davies, Alfala, and Gorlinski for the top 5, but that doesn't come close to describing this field. This field is stacked with talent top to bottom.
Indeed it is. These drivers had to qualify their way into this event through either the Pro Series or last season's NASCAR iRacing Series World Championship, and now we are getting ready to go back to Green Flag Racing to complete the 53rd circuit. Here comes the 20. Green flag flies, and another great start by Josh Parker.
Yeah, Josh Parker likes to start him a little bit early coming off corner number 4, which is usually the best thing to do if he wants a good safe start. Derek Wood follows in behind, and Ray Alfala there in 3rd, and on in 4th right there is Brad Davies. Looks like Steve Sheehan is making a pit stop, probably a penalty on that last flag, so Sheehan making his way to the pits.
So that'll take Steve Sheehan more than likely out of competition or out of the discussion for the race win, as Sheehan was already out of major contention, and he will likely fall further out of contention as well. Brad Davies comes under fire as here comes the number 5 of Thomas Hazard. Davies will give up at least one spot, possibly more, as I believe Davies may have brushed the wall.
And before that, he took a nasty slide in corner number 2 and let Thomas Hazard go past. He got the wall a little bit as well in the other end of the speedway, so Brad Davies might be struggling on cold tires, trying to get those tires up to temperature after running a few laps. Meanwhile, right behind him, the car on the move is Patrick Fogel. The 40 is already up to 7th.
Yeah, if I remember right, earlier in the race, Davies had trouble on new cold tires, so he probably needs to get the air pressures built up on those tires before his car feels good. A little checkup on Richard Tyler. He's back in 23rd right now. Make that the 22nd spot.
.32 of Stephen Gilbert has gone around here at Darlington Raceway, and that'll slow this field down again. And unfortunately, that'll put us back under yellow flag conditions. And Tim, the difference between this year and last year, 19 yellows in this race with 37 cars. And the review from the broadcast last year, over half of the yellows came off from turn number 2, and we had only 37 cars that started the race. This year, 43 cars that started this race. And the majority of our problems, I believe, will come off from turn number 2.
And we're taking a look right now at the beat-up car of Stephen Gilbert back there. It's beat up a little bit, not as bad as we seen a little bit earlier with Jordan Erickson. Looks like he'll come on to pit road. It also has a little bit of damage to the car behind him. Florian Goddard looking to get a good run, and he's back there damaged as well.
And we got a number of guys making it on the pit road and a number of guys staying out, so we're going to have a mix of drivers on old and new tires.
The 9 comes down pit road, and several other drivers bail on the run down pit road. Ray Alfala stays out. Thomas Hazard stays out. Patrick Fogel, who has just been tearing his way through this field, stays out on the racetrack. Patrick Fogel started 18th, I believe. Let me double check. I don't want to misquote where Patrick Fogel, yes, he started in 18th position. Patrick Fogel now runs in spot number 4. Fogel has just been an absolute beast at Darlington here tonight. He stays on the racetrack, as does right behind him Brian Schoenberg. I think Derek Wood's in trouble when he gets back out there. He's going to have a lot of cars ahead of him.
And he returns to the racetrack with 4 fresh tires, and we'll start to see how those 4 fresh tires will play out against drivers in front of him that I do believe might have about a half dozen to 10 laps of green flag running on them. It's going to be interesting to see. He's going to be about mid-pack, around 15th or 16th place. So watch Derek Wood, watch the rest of the field. The 6 is back here as well. Brad Davies, John Gorlinski, and the likes are back there as well. So there's a lot of heavy hitters right now about mid-pack.
Nolan Scott seems to be having some hardware issues at home, some starter issues or some steering issues or something he's got going on with his with some equipment, and he's working on that right now. We're listening to his radio a little bit, and he's trying to get it worked out, but he started again and having trouble getting that car fired. But looks like he'll try to make it work, and they're working through it right now.
So apparently the Alan Cryer jinx has struck Nolan Scott. And what we mean by the Alan Cryer jinx, and Tim, you know exactly what we're talking about with the Alan Cryer jinx, is sometimes you fiddle with stuff and maybe you're trying to save some fuel, or you're just messing around with stuff, and you hit the key to shut off whatever key it is that shuts off the ignition. You press that key, and because you've changed some things up, you no longer have a key to start the car anymore. You don't have a start the ignition key anymore. And that may very well be what's happened to Nolan Scott. He no longer has a starter key anymore. He no longer has a button to push for the starter. That may very well be what's happened to Nolan Scott, and he has not made it to his pit stall.
And that's tough for him. He's likely going to go down a few laps. He's currently 1 lap down right now in 32nd position. So tough for him, and he'll have to see what he can do to salvage whatever he can out of this Darlington Raceway. The lights are off atop the First Racing Ford Mustang pace car. The cars are doubled up behind said pace car, and Josh Parker is going to lead them back to green, and he's got 2 fantastic starts so far. Let's see if he can get a third here.
Josh Berry, last year's winner, is out of the race. As the pace car goes off the track, that would be that incident that happened earlier in the race. I forget who it was with, Derek Wood, or I'm not sure who it was with, but he had heavy right side damage. As Josh Parker takes the green flag and everybody heads down towards corner number 1.
So we'll have a new race winner, at least with Josh Berry out of this race. We'll have a brand new race winner. We've got trouble in turn number 1. And it looks like that'll slow us down. Car number 18, Thomas Lewandowski. Or 19, I apologize. Car number 19, Thomas Lewandowski, involved in the difficulties in turn number 1. As we'll see if Lewandowski had just a wee bit of help, and he did. He had to jump on the binders, and the number 21 got up into him. The number 21 got up into him as Lewandowski had to jump on the binders, and Connor McKenzie got up into him and turned him around, and that's unfortunate for Thomas Lewandowski.
And that's a tough break for last season's pole winner at this event. Connor McKenzie finished 5th last season at Darlington Raceway. And looking at the top 5 from last season, Nim, it's been tough for them so far this time around. Barry is out of the race. Olsen is not in the race. Derek Wood had just pitted. He's back there about mid-pack right now in 16th position, and Connor McKenzie having some tough luck. Ray Alfala finished in 3rd last season, and he currently runs in position number 2, so he's looking to bump that podium position that he got last season here at Darlington up 2 spots.
Yeah, 120 laps go from this point forward. This is our 4th yellow, and now we're starting to realize why they call it the Lady in Black, as these guys are starting to lose a little bit of patience here and not driving as well as they were early on, and getting some incidents going on. If you like what you're seeing here, if you want to come be a part of this, you can come visit iRacing.com, and right now you can get in on a trial offer, which will get you, if you buy 1 month, you get 2 free, so 3 total months for the price of 1, and you can come on in and you take part in the 24/7 racing action that includes 1,500 official races per week. There are also private leagues that people can join or host. You can, set up your own races, whatever type of car you want to drive or track you want to drive it on. We got 22 of the world's finest race cars on 46 of the world's finest racetracks. So come on over to iRacing.com, try it out for, I believe it's $12. You can get 3 months.
And we did find out what the problem was for Nolan Scott. His button was unassigned. That's exactly what we thought it might have been. He was messing around and changing some stuff inside the iRacing service and unassigned his starter button. I forget what it is by default. I believe it's by default the S key, starter. Ignition would be I and starter would be S, which would make a whole heck of a lot of sense. And a lot of the drivers, and that's one of the neat things here, Tim, you can customize all these different settings here within the iRacing service, and a lot of the drivers will take the opportunity to do that but you have to remember to reassign a lot of the stuff, and a lot of the drivers will go, I'll never need the starter. Well, sometimes you do.
It might very well pay off for you if you were in a situation like Nolan Scott is this evening, and Nolan lost at least one lap due to that, and he's actually 4 laps now behind the pace and 36th place being scored on the racetrack, and he is running under caution back in this field, so it's a tough break for him. But I guess it's a lesson learned for Nolan Scott and the team, and a lesson learned for anybody that might be out there and doesn't have their starter button assigned. They might want to go in tonight after this NASCAR iRacing Series World Championship race and maybe even see if their button is assigned.
Lights are out on the safety car.
So we get set for the restart here with the NASCAR iRacing.com Series World Championship. As everybody has jotted down, double check, make sure that starter key is assigned. Oftentimes, maybe you just hit that ignition key by mistake, or maybe you stall it. Never know. Lord knows I've done some things in my time as a sim racer that people go, you really did that? Yeah, I really did that.
And speaking about doing that, we're getting ready to go back to green flag racing. Josh Parker has been putting the hammer down pretty much as soon as the pace cars got off the racetrack. Here goes the pace car, and here's come Josh Parker. He's going to put the hammer down right here, and he's going to have about a car length and a half between himself and Alfala as they come out of 4.
Everybody makes it through corner number 1 and 2. Davidowitz got a little bit squirrely back there. Everybody checked up a little bit for him. But the guys in the back are realizing, I believe this time, that they're going to have to check up for the cars up front. And a lot of these guys in back have fresh tires on it. So maybe that's why they're a little bit impatient as the 5 car, Thomas Hazard, gets a little bit of a Darlington stripe coming through 3 and 4 that last time. Oh, and Hazard gets big time up in the wall in corner number 1 down there. So another whack against the wall for Hazard as he come off corner number 2.
Schoenberg will pass him up, and we'll be 3 wide momentarily as Davidowitz also trying to pass up the number 5 car. So Thomas Hazard experiencing some difficulties here. Davidowitz on the inside of Hazard. Davidowitz tries to back out of it, and here comes a 13 now.
And Brad Wright on the outside line going to make a pass, and we talked about Brad Wright about 40 laps into this race being on the same straightaway as the leader, in front of your leader, about to go a lap down, and now the rookie has made his way back up in the top 10. He sits in position number 6.
Brad Wright, very patient, very smart driver. You know, a lot of the times this year we see him laying back and just taking it easy in early parts and early stages of the race, and it's still in early stages. We're still in the early stages of this race, starting lap number 70 out of 183, so still about 114 laps to go from here. So Brad's still early on in the race, but he's got himself up in a pretty good position right now in 6th spot.
Richard Towler was end of the longest line. Now he's worked his way up into the 9th position. He's done it with patience. He's done it with working his way through traffic. RT is on a mission here tonight. I don't think Richard Towler is of the mindset to be denied here, Tim.
And this is one of the runs that champions are made of, albeit he's in a deep, deep hole so far this season. You ride on the roof with Richard Towler, look up and see Daniel Pope II. What a great run so far for Daniel Pope, side by side with your defending champion.
Looks like the 1 car of Tyler Hudson also making his way by, as Tyler does make it down into corner number 1 and gets by Pope as they go through 1 and 2. And down on the inside right behind them, the 14 car of Jamison Spees is trying to get by, I believe that's Schoenberg, and Brad Davies will make his way by, pick up a couple positions right there because those cars had to let up. And that's Pedro
Mojica losing some ground here as the number 9 machine almost loses it. Trying to go to the inside, and a big wiggle, and the 23 around on the front stretch right in front of, I believe that was Brian Blackford, right in front of Brian Blackford. Nowhere for Blackford to go. That'll bring out the yellow flag and slow us down. Pedro Mojica, the number 23, got loose out of turn number 4, and around he went, and all hell broke loose. And it's amazing to me that the entire field didn't stack up behind him, and it looks like only Blackford majorly involved. A few other drivers may have been lightly involved, but at a track like this, Tim, where everybody's on the ragged edge, I'm surprised that the entire field didn't get stacked up in that one.
And, you know, that started about a lap before, as John Gorlinski and Jamison Spieth and Brad Davies and all those other drivers were around Mojica. You could feel a sense of urgency as those guys fanned out down the straightaway and tried to get past Pedro Mojica. So that would look like it was building for about a lap or so, Nim, and the bomb just ended up going off there as the caution flag will fly, and we got cars coming to pit road.
Yeah, Pedro, obviously, you know, as we documented, got a little bit loose off of there. Pedro is from Killian, Texas. So Pedro Mojican, Texas driver down there, having a little bit of trouble coming off corner number 2 that time by.
Pit stops taking place here yet again, and this time Josh Parker will lead the field down onto pit road. And I think, Tim, this is where Richard Towler can make up a lot of positions on pit road. He's got that coveted number 1 pit stall.
Indeed, he does. Parker on the left-hand side of the race car now. 4 tires going on the swap for Men car. Oh, boy, he's going to get beat off pit road here as Brad Davies going to win the race off in the number 6. Parker going to come off in second, and Ray Alfala is in third. So a flawless pit stop for Parker, but he's still going to lose the lead.
Remember, Davies, we documented earlier in this race, was a little bit sketchy on tires that are cold and on low air pressure, so maybe he made an adjustment here, but he's going to be the guy leading us down in the corner number 1, and he's had a couple of issues on previous restarts.
We're hearing 2 tires for the 6 of Brad Davies. That'll get Davies out of pit road ahead of Josh Parker. I don't know about that strategy call, though, Tim. 2 tires here at Darlington. I don't know, man.
And Nim hit the nail on the head. If you're having problems with cold tires, I don't know if this is the way to go or not, but Brad Davies, second place last season. He has more experience behind the wheel than all 3 of us combined. So I believe if there's somebody that's going to make a decision, Brad Davies is the wise one to do so.
You know, you're right. If I were trying to drive that setup on those types of tires, they'd be trying to untangle me from the catch fence. But Brad Davies is a wheelman, and he is in this position, running out front right now of this NASCAR iRacing.com World Championship Series out of thousands of drivers who have tried to get here because he's a great driver and he can handle this. If it were me, I don't know, but Brad certainly could be out front and doing this.
If it were me, I would have walled it coming into pit road. So I don't think we have a concern about me stealing the position from Brad Davies. And Jesse Atchison had stayed out, at least temporarily. I don't think that'll be a concern. Jesse Atchison has since come down pit road. So Jesse Atchison stays out, leads a lap, gets his moment in the sun, and now Brad Davies will assume the top spot here on the racetrack. Josh Parker will assume second spot. Third is Ray Alfala. Fourth is Brian Schoenberg. Then it's Brad Wright, Patrick Fogel, Richie Davidowitz, Tyler Hudson, Thomas Hazard, and Richard Towler. So RT could have gained spots on pit road, but RT actually loses positions on pit road.
Darren Stevens will get the wave around, and he'll rejoin the field at the end. 11 through 20 as sees Jamison Spieth, Daniel Pope II, Chris Main, Byron Daly, the young one, Connor McKenzie in 15th place, Jason Anderson, Joshua Lawton. Great run so far for Josh, runs in 17th. 18th belongs to Charles Cosper, 19th Robert Hall, and Matthew Moose sits in 20th.
Further back to the field, 21st, John Gordon, Pedro Mojica, second after that incident. Derek Wood, 23rd. Brian Blackford, 24th. Jesse Atchison, 25th. 26th is Greg Spears. Dana Weimeyer, as the pace car goes off, is 27th. 28th, Florian Goddard. Vinny Sansone 29th, and 30th is Yang Costa.
Green flag flies. Brad Davies out to a nice start. Didn't quite get the jump that the rest of our leaders have gotten, so this will kind of keep this field bunched up, and that's exactly what Josh Parker wanted to see. Josh Parker and the rest of this field able to keep Brad Davies in sight on the restart.
Oh, we got one big slide. I believe that's Schoenberg back there trying to get back in the line in front of Brad Wright, and we almost had an incident there for 4th and 5th. Brad Wright pulls his foot out of it, but now he chases the 10. Schoenberg looking on the outside, Wright looking on the inside. That could be the side-by-side battle for 4th if Brad Wright gets up on the wheel.
Yeah, very hairy on that lap, but that's Darlington, you know. That's the kind of thing that can reach up and bite you at any time, especially on these restarts, as the 40 car, I believe that is, works down the inside of Brad Wright right there and makes his way by.
Patrick Fogel has to have the passing award so far here on this race, as Fogel has passed a lot of cars thus far here tonight, and Fogel continues to put them away here tonight. As Fogel started 18th, he's been up as high as 4th position, then he was back as far as 8th, and then back up to the now 5th position as Patrick Fogel continues to work his way towards the front. Fogel could be considered a dark horse here tonight.
And he's flying the TC's custom die-cast colors right now in position number 5 and coming back up to the front of this field. He's got a little ways to go until he reaches Schoenberg. It looks like Schoenberg has found that rhythm again. He's up in position number 4 and trying to pull away from this battle, trying to catch Ray Alfala, but here comes Fogel. Fogel hunting down Schoenberg.
Yeah, and I know Brian's parents like to watch these races, so we'll say hi to Mr. and Mrs. Schoenberg out there. And I hope they're enjoying the broadcast tonight. But your boy right now up in the 4th position doing really good.
Schoenberg hoping to have a strong performance, as Brian has told me that he wants to win one of these races. And the reason he wants to win one of these races, kind of a weird reason to win one of these races, he wants another appearance on Hot Lap Radio, Tim.
And if he gets a win, he'll get one of those appearances, as these drivers right now working lap number 83, and some of them have got strung out, but Patrick Fogel back there has caught Brian Schoenberg. The closest battle on the racetrack up in front, as it looks like Davies has Parker gapped by about a car length.
You know, we looked at Parker all night long. He's been either up in that 2nd position following Tyler, as Tyler dropped back through the field, and is making his way back up in the top 10 right now, 9th position. But Parker been up there most of the night, either leading or in 2nd place. Right now he's following Brad Davies, right on the rear bumper of Davies. So Parker's very strong. Running laps right now, we're on lap number 85 of 183 left. So, you know, about 98 laps to go from here, and still looking good for Parker.
Jason Anderson, the number 29 car, has tried desperately to take this wall down at Darlington, and he continues to try to take it down, although that wall was there a long time before that 29 car, and it'll be there a long time after. That car is only a mere visitor. That wall is a fixture here at Darlington.
And Jason Anderson right now scored in the 28th place position, last driver on the lead lap, as Brad Davies starts to pull away a little bit over Josh Parker in position number 2. Ray Alfala continues to sit in position number 3 as you ride on board with Josh Parker looking up at last season's runner-up.
Yep, Ray Alfala, your points leader right now. Parker, 3rd place in points right now. 212 points for Parker, 229 points for Alfala. So guys doing well in points, running up at the top of the field right now in this race.
Brad Wright just got way out of shape here at Darlington, got it gathered back up and back in line, albeit behind Tyler Hudson. But Brad Wright got right back onto the racetrack and into the racing line, lost a position but gathered it back up, and now he has to kind of catch his breath and kind of reassess the situation and reevaluate where he is on the racetrack. Brad Wright has to catch his breath and sort of reassess what's going on around him. Brad Wright just had one of those moments where you lose about 4 pounds, but you gain about 4 inches in the seat.
And when you're going down at corner number 2 and you look towards the wall, and you're not supposed to be looking towards the wall, that's one of those reasons you have to kind of reset and get back into a rhythm as he sits right behind Tyler Hudson. Here comes Josh Parker looking up on Brad Davies once again. Parker wants to win one of these races as bad as anybody else does. He slides it in corner number 3.
Yeah, Josh Parker, very loose coming off of corner number 4 that time as we saw the tail end out just a little bit. He lost a little bit of traction there. Maybe he lost a car length to Davies as they go through corner number 1 and 2. You know, it's hard to explain how hard 1 and 2 is. As you go down into corner number 1, you're letting off, but you're way back on the throttle. You go back up against that wall, full throttle, and then you crack the throttle again to come off of corner number 2, and it's a very unique line that you have to take, one that these drivers do not see anywhere else in the schedule. So tonight at Darlington, a very, very difficult, unique line, and we saw a lot of problems early on, but again, getting a good green flag run here as it looks like Fogel makes his way by a car on Schoenberg maybe.
Richard Towler tracking down the number 13 of Brad Wright, the veteran, the defending champion, and the rookie about to do battle. Here comes Towler looking down to the inside of Brad Wright. Brad Wright on the high side. Richard Towler on the inside. Wright wiggles on the high side. RT trying to clear him on the inside. Towler wiggles. Wright almost gets into him as they come out of the corner. Wow, what a battle. Richard Towler clears Brad Wright. I don't think Wright appreciated that move at all. Richard Towler doing everything he can to get back to the front of this field, Tim.
And Brad Wright is trying to stop the backslide that he's currently in. He's lost a few positions since that huge slide on the back straightaway. And the driver who had a front row seat to that was Thomas Hazard back there. Hazard almost got swept up in that.
Yeah, Hazard did a good job of keeping off of it, though, giving these guys a break a little bit. It happens up front, guys behind, half up, and give them room, or take advantage and try to make a pass. And right there, Hazard thought it best to check up a little bit and let them go.
Back up at the front, our leader, Brad Davies, is clear of traffic, and he is also clear of Josh Parker. We're going to give you the opportunity to experience the sights and the sounds of Darlington Raceway, the track too tough to tame. Go ahead and grab that speaker knob or hit that button as hard as you can and crank those speakers as far to the left or the right. Well, go to the right because that's where the volume up side is, and turn them as far up as you possibly can. Experience the sights and sounds with us here on PSR TV of the NASCAR iRacing.com Series World Championship drivers at Darlington Raceway. Brad Davies is your current race leader. Josh Parker sits in second. Ray Alfala is third. Patrick Fogel sits in the fourth spot. Brian Schoenberg is fifth. Richie Davidowitz is up to sixth spot. Seventh is Tyler Hudson. Eighth is Richard Towler. Ninth is Thomas Hazard. And rounding out your top 10 is Brad Wright.
11th place belongs to John Gorlinski. Daniel Pope is holding off Connor McKenzie for position 12. 13 is McKenzie. 14th, Chris Main. 15th is Josh Lawton. 16th belongs to Byron Daly. 17th, Robert Hall. Charles Cosper. 18th. 19th, Jamison Spies. And up in the top 20 is Brian Blackford.
21st is Pedro Mojica. 23rd, Matthew Moose. Greg Spears is in 23rd position. Derek Wood, 24th. 25th is Jesse Atchison. Dana Weimeyer, 26th. Florian Goddard, 27th. Vinny Sansone, 28th. Gene Costa, 29th. And Darren Stevens, 30th.
31st position belongs to Andrew Fayash III. 32nd is Jason Anderson, followed by Justin Lowry, 33rd. 34th is Steve Sheehan. 35th is Nolan Scott. 36th is Jordan Erickson. 37th is John Prather. 38th is Thomas Lewandowski. 39th is Stephen Gilbert. 40th belongs to Sandy Banerjee. 41st is Josh Connors. Then it's Josh Berry and Justin Trombley. That's your full field rundown here in the NASCAR iRacing.com Series World Championship, round number 7 at Darlington Raceway.
And your leader has about a second on Josh Parker, but he is now in lap traffic, so that could very well change. He just put Jordan Erickson back one lap in the rears, and up in front of your leader is now Dana Weimer and Jean Costa. So those drivers are anticipated to go one lap down should this thing stay green.
Brad Davies out a 1.004 second lead last time by over Parker. Alfala a good 1.7 seconds behind Parker, 2.7 seconds behind the leader, and Fogel another second behind him, and then it's another second back to Schoenberg. So everybody fairly spread out right now, putting in laps. We're working lap number 102. Coming across the line right now to start lap number 103 of 183, so 81 laps to go from here.
Leader in some heavy traffic, Dana Weimer moves down to the inside, lets the leader go as Brad Davies continues to put drivers a lap down. 25 drivers remain on the lead lap now, Tim.
And Sean Costa is going to go 2 laps down right here to Brad Davies, and Davies had a 1 second advantage, or over a 1 second advantage. It's now 0.8 of a second between your top 2 drivers, so it looks like Josh Parker navigating this lap traffic a little better. And as I say that, he's having a problem with Dana Weimer. Weimer now pulls down on the inside to let Parker go.
Yeah, he's able to get through that lap traffic right there, but that's, lap traffic is a key here, and you can lose a lot of time. Just want to explain one thing. So we got a couple of new viewers out there that I know of, guys, looking at this first race here tonight, and what you're looking at is people from all around the world racing from their home at their desks. They're using a steering wheel and pedals hooked up to their computer, and they are racing each other. Other competitors from all around the world. Sandeep Banerjee, who we talked about earlier today, he's from India. And our leader right now, Brad Davies, he's from Florida. These guys racing from their home PCs, taking part in a NASCAR-sanctioned competition, NASCAR iRacing.com Series World Championship, and they are racing for five-figure championship. So $10,500 going to the winner of this series as Jesse Atchison gets up on the fence there a little bit. And right in front of the leader, Parker, and Parker gets into him. But it looks like, oh, and now the 42 up in the wall in turn number 3.
Yellow flag will fly. The 42 of Dana Weimer winds up in the wall. The 5 gets involved in it. That's Thomas Hazard. Hazard winds up with some damage, and we're hearing Ray Alfala may wind up with a little bit of cosmetic damage as a result of that as well.
And that's tough after seeing the second-place driver tangle with a lapped car, and looking at Ray Alfala, I do believe he does have a little bit of damage to the JDR graphics car. So, Nim, that would be your top 2 drivers in points involved in an altercation here. You had Josh Parker with Jesse Atchison a little bit going down that straightaway. That's your top 3 drivers in points.
Yeah, Atchison got real loose. This is the second time tonight. He got in trouble coming off corner number 2. And Parker had nowhere to go, got into him, and going down in the next corner, it just looked like a number of the lap drivers had trouble getting out of the way. You know, a chain reaction effect happened going down the back straightaway as a number of drivers tried to get out of the way of each other, and Alfala couldn't miss Weimer, and heavy right front damage to Alfala's cars. He's your point leader. and he's in trouble. He's running third, and everything's nice to go, and the lady in black reached up and got him.
And you got to just hope that the damage, at least for Ray Alfala's sake, hope the damage isn't to the point that it can be fixed, as now it looks like at least the tires are being changed. That's a good sign for the Ray Alfala crew, as the tires are being changed. That tells me the damage isn't too much to be fixed.
And coming off pit road, it looks like Josh Parker got the best of Brad Davies. Davies going to be second off pit road to Josh Parker, so that's going to change the running order a bit. Ray Alfala comes off in third. Schoenberg and Fogel are your top 5 as they lead pit road.
We're going to go ahead, take a quick break. We'll reset your order and get you back to green when we come back. You're watching the NASCAR iRacing.com Series World Championship live from Darlington Raceway right here on PSR TV. Welcome back here on PSR TV. Josh Parker is your race leader. Brad Davies sits in second. Ray Alfala with the crunched up nose sits in third. Fourth is Brian Schoenberg, and fifth is Patrick Fogel.
And these guys are doubled up on the back straightaway, getting ready to go back to green. Richie Davidowitz, Tyler Hudson, Richard Towler, Thomas Hazard, Derek Wood has re-entered the top 10 after being mired back in heavy traffic. He's still in traffic, Nim, but he can see the light ahead of him. He can see the leaders just 5 rows up.
You know, he's done a really good job getting his way back to the leaders right now. Up there in the top 10 and recovering from that earlier mishap and mess up. But Josh Parker leads him down the front straightaway. The green flag is out.
Green flag doth fly, and we are back underway here at Darlington Raceway. Parker gets a beautiful restart, and he launches the car off into turns 1 and 2.
Davies going to come up to second place. The battle is for third. Here comes Schoenberg on Ray Alfala for position number 3. Schoenberg thought about sticking the nose underneath going into 3. Nothing doing, though. Alfala going to continue to ride in position number 3.
Alfala's car doesn't look too bad after that incident. Looks like he's able to keep up the speed pretty good, even with that little bit of cosmetic damage he has up front. He looks like he's still able to keep up pace, and that's good news for our point leader running in the 3rd position right now.
There had to have been an instant there, Tim, when the contact happened that Ray Alfala thought to himself, well, this one's over. There goes the points lead. When he had contact with the 42 and the 42 went up into the air, that was hard contact between Ray Alfala and the 42 of Dana Weimer.
Indeed it was. You can see the whole season sometimes flash right in front of you, albeit we do have 2 drop weeks in this series, the NASCAR iRacing Series World Championship, but still, you don't want to lose a drop week early in the season. in this round number 7. There's still so many races to go in this 18-race season that you might need to use for a drop week.
Yeah, and what a drop week is your 2 worst finishes throughout the season will get dropped. And the reason why these guys have this, maybe they want to go on vacation with their family or something this summer or whatever, maybe they just have a bad week, a bad race. They'll be able to use those 2 drop weeks so they can still compete in the championship. So those 2 drop weeks are provided for your worst 2 finishes, or if you have to take a week off or 2, so you can still compete.
Josh Parker continues to lead. Brad Davies sits in second. Ray Alfala is third. Brian Schoenberg is fourth. Fifth is Patrick Bogle. Sixth belongs to Richie Davidowitz. Seventh is Tyler Hudson. Eighth is Richard Towler. Nice bounce back from Richard Towler. As we watch the number 1 and the 11, they start to do battle, and right behind them is Richard Towler. And right behind Towler, Thomas Hazard. Nice 4 to 5 car draft, or chain, we should say, as not much of a draft here at Darlington.
And right behind them sits Brad Wright and John Gorlinski, a freight train working around this joint. They're trying to catch Patrick Fogle up here for position at number 5. As you ride on the roof with Tyler Hudson looking up in front of him, you see Richie Davidowitz.
Yeah, Tyler right now running in the 7th position. Good line of cars. Davidowitz right here in front of him. A lot of Darlington stripes on all of these drivers. Tyler going to try to make his way by, though. Tyler gets past this group of cars, which is going to be pretty hard to do. He'll be able to get up there and challenge the top 3-4 position.
Tyler Hudson pulls over, lets Richard Towler go by. I think Tyler Hudson deciding right now is not the time to battle with Richard Towler. Hudson saying right now Richard Towler's a little bit quicker. We may have trouble on the racetrack, Tim.
Lots of guys back here. There's a lot of smoke being told. It might be the number 12 back there of Joshua Lawton, and he's going again, but he's going to lose a bunch of positions, Nim.
Yeah, coming off of corner number 2. It looks like he just got loose on his own and tried to correct it, spun around, but he could not get out of the way of Byron Daly, and Daly hit him in the rear bumper, sent him around. So it's pretty good damage on that 12 car, maybe a little bit on Daly's car also.
So that'll slow us down here yet again, and Darlington Raceway proving to be a very difficult lady, but not nearly as difficult as she was 1 year ago. Tim, 1 year ago, 19 yellow flags here at Darlington. A lot of the drivers and the spectators expecting 20 to 25 yellows here tonight. Not the case yet.
Yeah, we've seen some fantastic racing so far, and we're going to see some fantastic racing off pit road as these drivers are flirting with coming on to pit road. At least some of your top drivers are. The 20 is going to come on to pit road, and he's going to commit. Brad Davies behind is going to commit as well. I believe Ray Alfala may have stayed out on the racetrack.
Yeah, Alfala definitely stayed out. We were talking earlier about how this race is sanctioned by NASCAR. And NASCAR sanctions a number of different races here at iRacing. They sanction our late model series, our NASCAR iRacing SK Modified series, the Tour Modified series. They also have our NASCAR sanctioned truck series, our NASCAR sanctioned not Grand National, but our B car series, our Impala B series, and the Nationwide series and the Cup car series. So, if you want to come in and drive in NASCAR sanctioned races, you can easily do that just by becoming a regular member here at iRacing. And you wouldn't believe it, Tim and Darryl, but last week I joined a NASCAR SK Modified race at Irwindale, and guess who is an official NASCAR winner?
Tyler Hudson.
No, Nim Cross has won an official NASCAR race. I'm very proud of it. And SK Modified Series at Irwindale, I've got a trophy.
Really? Everybody else break down or what?
Yeah, maybe they did. I left them all behind.
Congratulations. Nim Cross, now an official NASCAR winner. So you can be an official NASCAR winner as well. All you've got to do is head over to iRacing.com, get yourself signed up. Sign up for 1 month, get 2 months for free at iRacing.com. And if you've got the skills, if you've got the ability to do so, you can become an official NASCAR sanctioned winner as well.
And looking there as well, we had a question on Saturday on our road race, who was the fastest broadcaster? I guess Nim Cross gets that award. And speaking about awards, one of the new things with the new build, Nim, is there's certificates, there's different awards you can win, and I believe one is for beating an iRacing employee. I guess you spanked everybody that was trying to get that award in that race, right?
Yeah, the achievements are so much fun. You have some for miles you do in the car and different achievements you make throughout your driving career, and it's fun to go in and race and allow people that opportunity to get the I Let You Win achievement, which is anybody who beats an iRacing an employee gets that achievement, and that time I left them all wanting.
By the way, we should point out two things. Number one, there is no achievement for stuffing an iRacing employee into the outside wall, and number two, I don't work for iRacing, so cut it out.
And I believe I got an email earlier in the week from Frosty St. Clair. Of course, he was absent from our Saturday show, and he said he's one of the best road racers on our crew. So, Nim, I guess you got to turn right now in order to beat Frosty. But nevertheless, a lot of these cars in the front look fairly clean, and I was just told Richard Towler's car looks pretty spotless so far, and that's good for the defending champion of the series.
Yeah, he's definitely in good shape, and Frosty is absolutely a great road racer. I've competed against him before, and he's very, very fast. So, as far as that fastest announcer thing goes, it'd be a good fight, but Frosty may be the guy.
Well, here's the question: does Matt Racing Kid Thomas apply as an announcer? Because if so, I'd like to see Matt take on Nim Cross.
We'll have a match race.
I get a whisper from one of our producers, Matt Thomas. He says match race, and all of a sudden, at the same time, Nim Cross says match race. I'm down for that. I would like to see that happen. Tim, what do you think? Match race?
I beat Matt at a super speedway before. If we go super speedway racing, I might even throw my hat in the ring. Speaking about racing, though, Nim, I think we're getting ready to see the pace car duck off and go racing here at Darlington.
Yeah, this should be interesting because Ray Alfala out front on older tires. Pretty much everybody behind him is on fresher tires, so our championship may be in a little trouble here as they take the green flag.
We're back underway. Oh, a little bit of contact deeper in the field with the 13 and the 1. Tyler Hudson, Brad Wright. Two quick drivers have some contact deep in the field as we are side by side. Oh, boy, things are starting to heat up a little bit later in this race.
Oh, the 16 and the 20 are around Josh Parker, Richard Towler, and there goes that spotless night for Richard Towler. We got a big wreck here. There's over a half dozen cars involved. Chris Main is involved. The 21 is stacked up here on the front straightaway. Oh, boy, this is going to hurt a lot of good guys' nights.
Yeah, there's just not a whole lot of room going down through 3 and 4 right there. And you got two guys who did not want to give to each other, made a slight contact in the middle of the corner, and they went around. Poor Richie Davidowitz almost got by. He got clipped, sent down the front straightaway. Connor McKenzie involved, Chris Main involved, and a number of cars damaged on this.
And the save that Richie made after getting clipped and going around 360 degrees, got it right in the proper direction, grabbed a gear and went, shows the amount of skill that these drivers have. Richie Davidowitz just made an incredible save on that car. Now he'll have to come down, make some repairs, get some fresh tires on that car, but what a save by Richie D.
Indeed, very nice piece of driving by Richie Davidowitz, one of the rookies here this season. The 20 car is on pit road. I expect the 16 to also come down pit road. That car is tracking the wrong way, and that might be a meatball flag for the number 16 of Richard Towler, and I think we just gave him the jinx, Nim, after running so good back up into the top 5, and now he's on to pit road. I believe he may have slapped the outside pit wall trying to get that thing to track right.
Yeah, it's hard to say, because going through 3 and 4 there, I was looking at the replay a little bit, and you hate to lay blame on anybody, and we're not going to do that here, but there's a time where you can say, boy, I don't want to be in that position, and there wasn't a whole lot of room there, and you made yourself an outside pass and kind of got yourself in that spot, so it's a messed up junkyard now for a couple of these guys where all it took is one guy to give just a tiny bit, and they wouldn't have had that situation.
Josh Parker was 4th in points coming into this race, and it looks like he's not going to finish here tonight, so he can watch that 4th place in points go bye-bye here tonight. And we'll see if that kind of, obviously tonight's race will be a drop for Josh Parker. I think Richard Towler might be out of mulligans.
I believe he is as well, and you look at the tough season that he's had on the oval side. He's also had a tough season on the road side at VIR. He only finished a couple of laps on Saturday. Those guys head to Laguna Seca next, so Richard is looking to pick up a great finish there the next time the iRacing World Championship Series road racing heads to the racetrack at Mazda Raceway at Laguna Seca. And speaking about that series for a second, we need to give a shout out to Gregor Hutu. He's had an off season of sorts so far, and he's finally picked up his first win, so congratulations to him. He's looking to right his season, and what a way to do it here for one of these oval guys to pick up a win. Look at Brian Schoenberg up there in 2nd place. What a run so far.
Yeah, Gregor Hutu, a lot of people like to refer to him as the alien, picks up that win this week in the Williams the Williams Formula One car. And remember we were talking about, guys, how you can win NASCAR sanctioned races here at iRacing and things like that. Well, the cool thing is you can also run in the Grand Am series here at iRacing.com. So you run sports cars, the Grand Am prototype cars, and the Mustangs here. And also you can run in the IZOD IndyCar series as well. So if you like road racing, we got a bunch of good sanctioned road racing series and lots of road racing cars, and as well as a lot of oval racing cars. So whatever your flavor, come join us here at iRacing.com. Buy 1 month, get 2 free, 3 total months for the price of 1.
Pace lights are off. We're getting set to go back to green flag racing, and it looks like the nightmare season continues for the defending world champion Richard Towler, as this has been just an absolute disaster for Richard Towler, and we'll see if we can't talk to Richard Towler a little bit later on in this broadcast. It's been a nightmare for RT, hasn't it, Tim?
Indeed it has been, and he's going to watch the race from the pit area, or at least the rest of this race. 1:27 completed this time by Alfala and Schoenberg. On the front row, green flag flies. Great start for Alfala. Schoenberg and now John Gorlinski battle for second.
Yeah, we haven't seen Schoenberg. Schoenberg's been up in the top 10, and we ran through him earlier today when he was 4th. But Schoenberg up challenging for the win right now. Remember, Alfala on a little bit older tires. Not sure if Schoenberg has 100% fresh tires or not, but he's looking good going down the corner number 3.
Derek Wood made a beautiful save, but a lot of traffic behind him as everybody kind of had to lift and allow for Derek Wood to make that save. A big gap ahead of him, and now a large gap forming behind him as Wood starts to pick up the pace again.
That was another one of those saves where it was pointed towards the inside wall coming out of corner number 2, and now he has heavy traffic in front of him. All those positions that he lost, he's underneath trying to make one position up is Derek Wood, and I believe he just made it on the number 36 of Robert Hall. Hall coming back on the outside.
Derek Wood was able to get by of Hall right there going through 3 and 4. Actually, Hall able to keep that position as Wood falls back in line.
Steve Sheehan trying to pick up positions here as, we've got trouble behind them. Trouble behind them as we've got cars spinning. And it looks like it's the 22 of Vinny Sansone. Vinny Sansone has gone around here at Darlington Raceway, and that'll bring out the yellow flag.
And that's a tough break after those drivers were racing hard for position. And we talked about earlier about logging some laps and getting some laps in under green. NIM, these guys can see the checkered flag in about 55 laps. There's no time to wait anymore.
Yeah, there looked like a couple of cars right there in front. All of them got loose at the same time, so might have been a little oil up there or whatever, who knows. But a number of cars got a little bit loose up there in corner number 3 and 4. 22 car went around and will have to make his way to pit road to get that damage fixed. But you're right, Tim. Late in the race, These guys are going for it. They're trying to get down and trying to get those good positions. Lap number 129 right now working. Let's just make sure that, no, lap 132 of 183. So we're coming down to about 52 laps to go.
So it looks like they have faked an entry to pit road. Looks like the majority of these drivers will stay on the racetrack. That gives us an opportunity. Tim Terry, I believe you have caught up with Richard Towler.
RT, this looked like the race you were going to turn the season around. Started on the pole, was on your way back to the front of the field. Talk about the battle between yourself and Josh Barker there.
I'm not sure what to say about it. We just went into the corner side by side and we had a bit of contact, and it just looked like Josh just slid up a little bit too much, and that was enough to turn me around. It feels like a similar position to what I've been in all season so far.
And you had a penalty earlier in the race that put you to the end of the longest line. What happened there? Did you go over the speed limit just a little bit on pit road?
I think it peaked at 46 for like a split moment, and that was enough to give me a penalty. That was the first time I've ever speeded in one of these races. So I was unfortunate, but we had a really good car and was coming back through the field pretty strong. So it wasn't going to cost us too much at the end of the race.
Strong all night long here, and definitely made a statement after starting from the pole and ran up in the top 5 before that incident. We look in 2 weeks' time, we're going to head to the Charlotte Motor Speedway. Is that another track that we could potentially see Richard Towler back in victory lane?
I hope so. It's been one of my favourite tracks. I came first and third, I think, in the races last season there. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to that track. It's a really fast one, so you've got to really put it on the line at that track. So, hopefully this season will finally turn around at Charlotte. That's all I can hope for.
And that's in 2 weeks' time, Richard. Before we let you go, we'll let you have the opportunity to say hello to anybody out there watching or thank anybody from the team. The mic is all yours.
Yeah, I'd just like to give a shout out to you guys, PSR TV, for having me every week. Thanks, guys.
And there you go. There's Richard Towler, the defending champion of this series, second last season on the road racing side as well. And Nim, it's always tough to see the defending champion struggle, and after tonight's race, fantastic run for Richard Towler, and hang the hat on it. It was an awesome car that he had, and the finish that he's going to receive not indicative of how that car ran this evening.
Richard's obviously a great driver. He is our reigning NASCAR iRacing.com Series World Champion, and to do that, he's got to have a great driver. He got to be a great driver and have a good car and good knowledge of setups and stuff like that. So we know he's a great driver, and he'll get it turned around at some point. But it's one of the great stories of the season too. And sometimes one of the big stories of the season is ones that aren't too convenient for some people. And Richard struggling this season just tells you how competitive this series is.
But one of the things about Richard Towler is he's not going to give up. He's not going to quit. He's not going to back down. He's not going to curl up into a ball and just go away. That's not what Richard Towler does. That's not what your defending NASCAR iRacing.com Series World Champion is going to do. That's not what champions are made of, and that's not what Richard Towler is about to do. And I wouldn't be surprised to see Richard grab a chunk of wins before this season is all said and done. And Richard Towler is certainly capable of doing that, and we'll see what Richard is able to do before the end of this season. Pace car makes that hard left-hand turn down onto pit road. Ray Alfala, your points leader, makes his run down the front stretch, hard on the hammer. We head down the front stretch. Several cars spin the tires, and we had the 13 of Brad Wright slap the front stretch wall after spinning the tires. We're back under green.
Oh, John Gorlinski nearly around in front of the field, and I don't know how he saved that race car. They're still racing, and John Gorlinski nearly loses it again off corner number 2.
Yeah, there's a lot of cars still mixing up as Davidowitz, whoa, 3 wide, going down in the corner, and the 26 car up into the fence, and Davidowitz around, he's up into the fence also. Daniel Pope and Davidowitz, heavy crash in 3 and 4, and Derek Woods involved.
Derek Wood involved, several drivers involved in that one, and the 26 we're hearing may have been the trigger for that one. Daniel Pope, unbelievable action here as this one starts to just warm up, and 3 wide going into turn 3. That normally doesn't work, and that's what we found here at Darlington. 3 wide into turn number 3. Tim, that's usually a recipe for disaster.
And that really starts when John Gorlinski spins the tires. He and Brian Schoenberg make contact going into corner number 1, and that really jumbles the field behind. Some of the drivers get off the gas a little bit, anticipating Gorlinski to come back up on the racetrack, and that does happen. A lot of guys a little bit timid after that little contact that happened, and then you see all heck break loose down the back straightaway, and drivers trying to gain positions when drivers are off the gas just a little bit, and then we saw the aftermath of what happened to him.
Yeah, the 3 wide happened. They didn't want to be 3 wide, but the 3 car, the 11 car, and a number of cars were letting up after the incident we talked about, and everybody's just trying to get back in line, and the 26 car just happened to clip the 11 car going into the corner of the 3. The 11 car was in the middle of a 3 wide. He didn't want to be there, and that contact, the 26 car almost had it saved for the longest time, but then overcorrected a little bit, got up into the fence, heavy right side damage to that car, and then heavy damage to the 11 car.
We're going to go ahead, take a quick break here on PSR TV. Don't you dare go away. We're going to come back, get you back to Green Flag Racing. Less than 50 to go, and the action's getting hot and heavy here at Darlington Raceway. Don't you dare go away.
iRacing.com is the premier online racing simulation featuring head-to-head competition on your PC. Race from your home PC, competing on the world's best real-world cars and tracks. Thousands of race fans and scores of pro racers like Dale Jr. and Justin Wilson are already racing at iRacing. Experience the thrill of victory yourself and go racing today at iRacing.com.
Welcome back here on PSR TV. Pace lights are out. We're getting set to go back to Green Flag Racing conditions. And Tim Terry, these drivers are ready to go back to green, and they are hoping to stay that way.
And I think we'll see some Green Flag Racing in here if they can get past the restart. And the last couple of cautions have been a little bit hairy on the restart and the aftermath that leads to it. We're going to have Ray Alfala, Brian Schoenberg, Brad Davies, Brad Wright, and John Gorlinski, your top 5. And we saw the last restart, a couple of guys spinning the tires. We'll see if everybody can get up through the gears and not spin those tires on this restart.
Pace car is off, getting ready to go green here. Ray Alfala leading to the line with Brian Schoenberg in the second position. Alfala gets a good start going down the front straightaway. Brad Davies also gets a good start and is down the inside of Schoenberg.
14 and 9 experiencing some difficulties on the racetrack, and that'll slow us down. Yet again, yellow flag will fly, the 14 and the 9. The 9 is Derek Wood.
And it looks like in this replay that the 14 comes up the racetrack. You're going to see the 9 get into it, but you're going to see him get punted from behind from Patrick Fogel. Fogel's going to have a little more front-end damage to that race car, and that's just a tough break for those drivers involved after Derek Wood has had a roller coaster night in him. Started up at the front, then at the back, then making his way back up to the front, and then he gets involved in this accident here just past the lap 140 mark.
Yeah, these guys got to be careful going down the corner number 1. The 14 definitely got loose, trying to get under another car there, and the 40, again, I think it's the second time tonight on a restart, hitting somebody in the back going down the corner number 1, but the guys were checking up in front of them, so it may have been pretty hard to miss.
Gorlinski will pit, as will Patrick Fogel. Both of those drivers will pit, as will Derek Wood. So several drivers coming down pit road, and that's to get some repairs exacted on their machines and get back out to the racetrack. And obviously the drivers involved in that most recent yellow flag will pit. And we're going to take this opportunity, see if we can't get a word with John Prather. John, this is Daryl with PSR TV. You got me, bud?
Yeah, can you hear me?
We got you, John. John, obviously not the situation we wanted to talk to you with, but it's always fun to be able to catch up with you, John. What took you out of the race tonight, buddy?
I came off at turn 2 on one of the restarts, and I guess Jesse got into the wall. Sandeep was behind him, had trouble kind of checking up, and they kind of got together, and I was just coming full speed and didn't have anywhere to go, and pretty much ran over Sandeep, and that was it.
Now, interesting statistic that has been handed to us. Maybe you can clarify it, but we've been told that you're one of the few drivers that has not caused a yellow in this series to date. That's this season and last season. Is that true?
I'd like to think so. I can't quite remember last season. I usually like to take pride in being pretty clean and not causing too many cautions. So if that's true, I'm definitely happy about that.
Well, it comes from one of our official stat guys, so I would tend to believe it is pretty darn true. Is that something that you kind of hang your hat on at night? You kind of say, you know what, maybe I didn't finish first, or I didn't win the race, didn't dominate, but you know what, I raced clean and I earned the respect of the people I race with.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think that for me, you know, I kind of got into the oval community a little bit later than a lot of the guys out there, and I kind of had to earn the respect of everybody. And, you know, best way to do that is to just never cause a wreck, never ruin somebody's race, never get in anybody's way. And, you know, eventually, you know, people say, hey, I like this guy being around me on the track. And, you know, at the end of the day, it's also better just to race clean if you want to finish good, because, you know, being at the end of the race with a good car is the best way to finish good. So, you know, I think it works out in both ways.
Tell us about this oval community, from coming from the quote-unquote outside to inside the oval community. It can be a tough egg to crack, can it?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think that especially several years ago, I mean, I can't say I'm new to it. I've been doing this for quite a while, but there was a point where, you know, I came from road racing and kind of had to work my way in, and there's a lot of I guess there's a lot of egos, there's a lot of, you know, drama that goes on at times, and, you know, there's a lot of people that kind of put a lot of stock in what your name is, and if you don't have, you know, any reputation, I mean, especially on the track, I mean, you can get driven pretty hard, and you just got to learn to deal with it, and it's a really tough thing to do. I'm pretty proud of the fact that I was able to kind of do that, and you know, earn the respect of people and not cause too many enemies, because I see a lot of people that do that from time to time.
John, before we let you go, we're about to go back to Green Flag Racing here. Let's get the shout-outs out here, bud. Friends, teammates, sponsors, who you want to make sure you thank before you get going.
Well, thanks to TaxSlayer for sponsoring me. Obviously, I haven't had the season I'd like, but it's great to have them on board. The rest of the Junior Motorsports team, a lot of them are running great today. They always help me out with setups and, you know, giving me grief when I don't practice enough, and it's always useful. And obviously, thanks to you guys for putting on the show, and also thanks to iRacing for working on the track. We had some issues with the track in early testing, and and they came through and made some changes to it that made the racing a lot better. I mean, even though we've had a few cautions, I mean, it's really nice to see these long runs, and it probably wouldn't have happened without that. This is one of the toughest tracks to race on, and it's really cool to see. I think the racing's been pretty clean. Hopefully it stays clean the last 40 laps, but we'll see.
Speaking of some great racing, we've got a great race going on up at the front. Brad Davies trying to pick up that top spot. Thank you once again to John Prather. Brad Davies dives down to the inside of Ray Alfala. Alfala has no choice but to let him by. Brad Davies, your brand new race leader, and Schoenberg up into the outside wall at the front bumper of Brad Wright.
Yeah, he definitely had a little help from Brad Wright there, Daryl, as these guys are going 2 and 3 wide back here, trying to get past Brian Schoenberg. Bye-bye, Schoenberg. He's going to be outside the top 10 here before long.
Yeah, we're at the point now where drivers are going to go for a position. We're at the lap 148 of 83, so about 35 laps to go. These guys are seeing and smelling the checker flag, and everybody's trying to get what they can.
That is not going to sit well with Brian Schoenberg, and now here comes Brad Wright knocking on the back door of the number 2, the points leading Ray Alfala, and I'm thinking to myself, Brad Wright, you better be a little bit more careful with Ray Alfala, because Ray Alfala, if you try to rattle his cage, he'll rip your cage apart.
Indeed he will. Battle for second heating up, as you mentioned, Daryl, the 13 of Brad Wright, hot on the bumper of Ray Alfala. And while this is happening, Brad Davies is saying goodbye. Brad Wright underneath. He goes to second, Alfala back to third.
The 5 car looking at the inside Hazard. I don't believe he's got any room to any run to make a move right now. Brad Davies out front by 1.39 seconds. That's right where he wants to be. That's a great job by Davies out front right now. Brad Wright, again, we talked about him earlier in the race, and he's doing a great job up there in the second spot.
Tyler Hudson down to the inside of Ray Alfala. Alfala will drift to the high side, and Tyler Hudson will get by, and you got to wonder if the damage to Ray Alfala's number 2 car is catching up with him, and if Ray Alfala is just hanging on right now, Tim.
He might very well be, as Thomas Hazard gets past the number 2. Thomas Hazard looking to get up here and possibly take the point lead away from Ray Alfala if Alfala continues to fall. Here comes Connor McKenzie as well. Connor McKenzie, top 5 the last time we visited Darlington, the young one, looking at the 2.
Connor having a great run here tonight to the inside, as Alfala may be feeling a little bit of damage from damage effects from that earlier incident he was in, or maybe the tires just used up on that car a little bit. But Connor McKenzie putting the pressure on Alfala right now.
You look out the rear bumper of Ray Alfala, back to the number 21 of Connor McKenzie. McKenzie, one of the sharks, smelling blood in the water. Connor McKenzie knows he's got a weakened points leader right in front of him. Connor McKenzie looking for the opening that Ray Alfala may have no choice but to leave. Alfala knows that he has to hold on to every position that he possibly can. 30 some odd laps remain. 30 laps this time by the stripe will be the distance remaining in this race. How much longer can Ray Alfala hold on for?
Alfala just had a big wiggle off corner number 2. Connor McKenzie sits right behind him, waiting to make the move. And Connor McKenzie, a well-respected driver, as we got smoke coming off of corner number 4 here. Not sure if this will bring out a caution or not. Had a little bit of smoke back there, but Connor McKenzie, well-respected driver, and he's not one to rattle any cages, at least not at this point, Nim.
No, we have trouble coming off corner number 4 the last time by. Derek Wood got loose, and he took out the 36 car of Robert Hall. Wood got loose coming off the corner, and then there was more cars involved going down the back straightaway, but Wood, the main culprit in the start of that one.
Back end stepped out on Derek Wood coming out of turn number 4, and around he went, and we're hearing that Derek Wood may have some computer issues as well, and anytime that you're dependent on somebody's computer system, we all race on different computer systems, and Derek Wood may have some computer issues going on, and that may very well be affecting his performance here tonight, Tim.
And it might very well be a graphic issue or something among those lines as here comes the 6 of Brad Davies, and it looks like we got a stack up here coming onto pit road.
Yeah, it looked like coming in, and I was just going to mention the 3 car of Charles Cosper having such a great run tonight, but the 5 car turned it around. 3 car was able to avoid that, but coming in the pits, it's really slippery down there on pit road. Ray Alfala involved, but the 5 car of Thomas Hazard, I believe that is, have to double check that, but just turn it around coming on the pit road. It's very slippery down there, and he got a little bit messed up. Ray Alfala was also involved, and this is really going to mess up their pit stop, and they'll lose a lot of track position on this yellow flag. But we'll give a shout out though to the 3 car. That was Charles Cosper. He was up in the top 10 there before that last caution flag. He decided to make a pit stop this time, and it's cost him a number of positions as a number of cars stayed out this time. But just a shout out to Charles Cosper having a great run here tonight.
Cosper has also been able to avoid a lot of the incidents, and they've happened pretty much in his lap, and he's been able to avoid a lot of those incidents. He's had some pretty darn good hands here tonight, Tim.
And another driver who's had some great hands as well is Byron Daly. He's been up in the top 10 in these last few laps. I believe he might have bit the wall on that last run, but still running in the top 10 in the GSRacing.net Chevrolet Impala. He's being scored right now in 11th position, but the best run of the season so far, or at least in the last couple of races for Byron Daly. He's looking to come out of here with a top 10 run.
Tim, it's very difficult to make your way into the NASCAR iRacing.com Series World Championship. There's a whole ladder of progression that you've got to go through in order to make it into this NASCAR iRacing.com Series World Championship. We've got several drivers that have made that next step in order to get their way into this series they've made pro.
Indeed they have, and they made it in through the Class A Series. They had to make the top 12 in the Class A Series, either from Season 1, which just wrapped up, Season 2, which is ongoing right now, or Season 3, which is upcoming here in the next season of iRacing. And the top 12 that were not a World Championship driver already made it in to the Pro Series, which will happen during the winter of 2011. Jim Caudell Jr., P.J. Sturgis, Kevin King, Marcus Lindsay, Dale Earnhardt Jr., Brandon Bookberger, Chris Henyon, Cyril Nussbaum, J. Lo, Jason Loafing, Joe Quinn, David Hudo, and Michael Conti. And should the field be short, Nim, for one of these NASCAR iRacing Series World Championship races, which means 40 or less than 43 of the drivers that have already qualified for this series, those pro guys can try to qualify in to these races. Jim Caudell Jr., Marcus Lindsay tried to this evening, but of course we had 45 of the NASCAR iRacing Series World Championship drivers make it into the race, so they are sitting and watching this race here on PSR TV, but they could very well make it into one of these races. Pace car is off. We're getting ready to go green. Hazard and Gorlinski.
Yep, as we get ready to go green here, we'll elaborate on that a little bit more, because during the off-season, when those guys are facing relegation, and the pro drivers, 2 cars up front get squirrely, and then the 6th car that Davies got into the back of the Chris Mayne and sent Chris Mayne to the wall, so Chris Mayne, heavy damage on that car, but it looks like everybody's still going forward.
3 and 4 wide momentarily as we work our way into turn number 1, and somehow, some way, at least for the time being, we've made it through. And take a look who's up there. Brian Blackford, somehow, some way up there in the mix as well.
They were trying to wreck for about a half lap, and they didn't do it. Schoenberg up into the wall in the number 10. Hard contact. The 31 of the Blackford machine is around as well.
Yeah, Schoenberg got loose, took out Blackford. Blackford up into the fence. And it looks like Schoenberg got away pretty clean there, but Blackford took some heavy damage.
So we'll have less than 20 laps to go here in this one, and Thomas Hazard, with some older tires, will be out towards the front of this field. He'll lead them back to green. He may only have to hold these drivers off and just make that car about as wide as possible.
And correct me if I'm wrong, Daryl, I believe John Gorlinski, Brad Wright, and Patrick Fogel might very well be on the same strategy as well. I believe the first driver back there with 4 fresh tires might be Ray Alfala in 5th place. So if we do go green, a long duration at the end of this race, we go 20 laps green, those guys from 5th on back might be the drivers to watch. But if we do get a couple of quick cautions like we've been seeing, those top 4 look pretty good right now.
Yeah, they definitely do. Talking again about the Pro Series that's going to happen this winter during Season 4. These guys in this series right here will be fighting to stay out of the relegation spots, and the Pro Series drivers will be number one. About 40 to 50 of those guys who will be actually 36 of those guys plus the guys who are fighting relegation, trying to make it back in to the iRacing. NASCAR iRacing.com Series World Championship. So our off season is going to be a very exciting time to see which drivers are going to make this series next year.
So here it goes. We're going to set this up for the last 20 or so laps here at Darlington Raceway. Thomas Hazard is your race leader. John Gorlinski sits in 2nd. Brad Wright is 3rd. Patrick Fogel is 4th. And 5th is Ray Alfala. 6th belongs to Brad Davies. 7th is Connor McKenzie. 8th is Byron Daly. 9th is Charles Cosper. And rounding out your top 10 is Jamison Spieth.
Back to 17th is on the lead lap right now. Tyler Hudson, Brian Schoenberg, Pedro Mojica, Jesse Atchison, Greg Spears, Chris Main, and Brian Blackford. Those are the drivers scored last time by on the lead lap as Brian Blackford speeds down pit road. Jean Costa, 1 lap down. Florian Goddard, 1 lap down. Those are the only 2 drivers currently scored as 1 lap behind the pace. And rounding out your top 20, 2 laps down is Justin Lowry, 37.
Andrew Fash, the 3rd, is also 2 laps down, as well as 22nd spot Vinny Sansoni. Darren Stevens is 3 laps down in 23rd position. 5 laps down in 24th is Derek Wood. 6 laps down is 25th position Nolan Scott, and 26th position Matthew Moose. 7 laps down Jordan Erickson in the 27th position. 28th position Jason Anderson being scored 7 laps down also. 29th position Robert Hall is 8 laps down. 30th position Steve Sheehan, also 8 laps down, being in car number 41 in the 30th position.
Richie Davidowitz is 10 laps down. He's in 31st, and everybody else pretty much out of this one. Daniel Pope in 32nd. Josh Parker, 33rd. 34th is Richard Towler. 35th is Joshua Lawton. 36th is Dana Weimer. 37th is John Prather. 38th is Thomas Lewandowski. 39th is Stephen Gilbert. 40th is Sandeep Banerjee. 41st is Josh Connors. 42nd is Josh Berry. And 43rd is Justin Trombley. That's your running order, your full field rundown as we get set to return to green flag racing, and we will have less than 20 laps to go when we go back to green flag racing. We're looking at about 19 laps or so, Tim.
This is going to get exciting right down to the end of it, and if you want to relive some of the action of this race, tomorrow head over to InRacingNews.com and read all the news about this race and the other sanctioned races on iRacing and also the real world races. And I know the Class C series, the trucks are covered on there, and also the Tour Modifieds. I get to cover those series each week. And Nim, if your SK Modified win was up there in the Tour Mod, you would have had your name on InRacing News.
We got to remember that for the upcoming week. But we're getting ready with a lot of new stuff here at iRacing, working on iRacing 2.0, and we'd like to get some more time, but working on some new features, new tire models, things like that coming out soon, and looking forward to getting that out to everybody. And that when that comes out, we'll see a lot more racing in my future. But everybody's working real hard on that right now. We'll get it out soon as the pace car goes off and we get this race back underway.
Green flag flies. Nice restart for Thomas Hazard. Look at Brad Wright. Right up the inside line right. tries to grab that number 2 position from the number 15 of John Gorlinski, and Brad Wright will pick up spot number 2.
And here comes Ray Alfala, here comes Brad Davies, Connor McKenzie also coming through, Patrick Fogel up here as well, the 6 on the outside line, looking to maintain the position, but Patrick Fogel laying it to him.
Yeah, all these drivers smelling blood right now. It's the end, getting to the end of the race, lap 165 of 183 as we go by, 18 laps to go from here, and everybody's smelling blood trying to get those positions.
The Sharks are circling, and Thomas Hazard trying to hold off the rest of this field, and these drivers wanting everything that they can get. Thomas Hazard trying to hold off Brad Wright. Here comes Brad Wright trying to track down Hazard. Hazard on the high side, Brad Wright on the inside. Side by side, they drag race down the front stretch. Hazard on the outside will lose the position. Thomas Hazard down to second. Brad Wright, your new race leader.
I tell you what, Brad Wright drove that car hard into corner number 1. He picks up the lead, and now Hazard has his hands completely full with Ray Alfala and Brad Davies back here in 3rd and 4th, and Connor McKenzie has entered the top 5. Oh, Davies, big slide for the number 6. He's going to fall back into the clutches of McKenzie.
McKenzie looks to the inside but can't make it happen, and when Brad Wright made that pass for Lee, I swear I heard his dad, Steve, yelling for him, "Go, Brad, go!" with Steve Wright, his dad, very much involved with Brad Wright's racing.
Ray Alfala looking for spot number 2 in the number 2 car. Alfala down to the inside of the number 5 of Thomas Hazard. Hazard on older tires, Ray Alfala on newer tires. But don't forget, Ray Alfala has that damage to the right front of the number 2. This could be an even race.
It could very well be, but the 6 back here as well. He's looking to strike again to get up back in the top 3. Big wiggle from Ray Alfala. Here comes Brad Davies. Here comes Connor McKenzie. Here comes Patrick Fogel. 3 wide into corner number 3.
Connor McKenzie or Patrick Fogel able to make up, and Patrick gets up in the wall a little bit. Connor McKenzie down the inside, Fogel up on the outside. Fogel gets one of those Darlington stripes. He probably already had one, but Fogel now racing up on the outside. Alfala going to try to stick it to the inside and get that position back.
Oh, big wiggle for Ray Alfala. Alfala stuffs into the outside wall. Somehow everybody gathers it up, and the luck has run out. The number 3 goes around right in front of the field, and that's Charles Cosper.
30 involved, 28 involved. Oh, the 27 going to get into it. Chris Main gets contacted by the 27. Heavy smoke rolling from that race car as the caution flag will fly, and that's Andrew Fayash III that got into Chris Main. Everybody just trying to get through there unscathed, and a couple of drivers get bit in a big way. And Daryl mentioned it, Nim. Charles Cosper, the glass slipper just broke on lap 168.
Yeah, and you know, it's Darlington, it's the Lady in Black who reached up and got him there because it was no fault of his own, as Alfala got all messed up. He got up into the fence there. The 18 car tried to get by Alfala. Cosper tried to get by the 18 car but had to take it to the apron, and he got loose, turned it around. He did an admirable job of just trying to stay out of the 18 car, and which was Byron Daly, but at his own sacrifice. That took out a number of cars behind him, but good run for Charles Cosper today. Hats off to him, and maybe he'll have a better luck in 2 weeks at Charlotte.
Ray Alfala coming down onto pit road, a late race pit stop for Ray Alfala, and this is our points leader coming down onto pit road and all by his lonesome, Tim.
And your second place driver in the points is currently second place on the racetrack, albeit he does have a little bit older tires. That could change, but still, if you're looking at Ray Alfala, if he can get back out on the lead lap, he's going to be no worse than about 15th or 16th place position, but he's going to have less than 10 laps to go to make up any position that he can. Should something happen big in front of him, Nim, he might be able to get a few positions if he misses it.
Yeah, it's going to be hard to make up some spots, and, you know, we have right now, you know, we'll get about 8, 9 laps of green flag racing, or will we? You know, that's been the deal all year long. You get down to this point, you get a green flag that comes out late in the race, and all these guys are going to be going crazy, and especially here at Darlington, they're going to try to make up some positions. They're going to be yellow flag. So he'll most likely have less time to try to make up those positions. And you know, the problem wasn't with that last wreck. The problem was with the strategy where he stayed out, which got him into that situation. But you know, you roll the dice and you do what you have to do, and you really don't know what the outcome is going to be. If we did, he wouldn't have rolled the dice there. But you know, that happens, and it was a good run. He's been having a great run all season long. It is the points championship at this point. There is the point championship leader. And we'll see how much it hurts him coming out of here. Remember, Brad Wright, not too far behind, is up in the lead.
Brad Wright looking for the race win here in the NASCAR iRacing.com Series World Championship. Wright almost went a lap down earlier, Tim, and here he is leading the charge at Darlington Raceway. My, how fortunes can change.
And wouldn't it be a great story for the leading rookie in this series? I believe this would be his first win in this NASCAR iRacing Series World Championship. And looking back at the real world when they raced here Saturday at Darlington, Regan Smith from Cato, New York, ended up winning his first race with a little bit of pit strategy at the end of that one. Brad Wright looking to pick up a win here as well in his rookie season in this series. It would also vault him a little bit closer to that top spot in the point standings, and with Ray Alfala having a little bit of bad luck at the end of this, of course Josh Parker having bad luck as well, he could very well be up in the top 3 in points before the end of this night.
Yeah, this is going to be a pretty big mix-up in the points, and that'll make it real exciting going into Charlotte in 2 weeks. But right now, we have our man Brad Wright up front, a rookie to the series this season. Brad Wright, no wins in this series, wanting to pick up his first one. Thomas Hazard, I believe, is a teammate of his, so those two guys may work together. Brad Davies is going to have something to say about this, though. Brad running back there in the third spot, going to be the inside of Hazard on this restart. Brad going to try to pick up this win in just a few laps remaining.
9 laps to go when the green flag flies. Brad Wright trying to hold off a stout field. The remainder of 43 of the best drivers in all of iRacing, or at least 43 of the best qualified drivers in iRacing. And we say qualified drivers because there are thousands of drivers waiting in the wings for their opportunity to show they are the best in all of iRacing, and I think we will see more of them coming in the future. Green flag flies, and look at the restart from Brad Davies. It's the Brad and Brad show. Wright and Davies, nose to tail as they work their way into turns 1 and 2. The battle for the lead will come out of turn number 2 and down the backstretch.
Here comes Brad Davies looking for the lead position. Just behind them, drivers trying to shoot the hole and trying to get everything that they can. Brad Wright out by 2 car lengths now over Davies.
Yeah, Davies had a fantastic restart, was right on it when Brad Wright went. He went with him, and that cost Hazard a spot there, and Davies is now challenging Brad Wright for that lead, but and Davies is up in the fence.
Davies brushes the outside wall, and that could take him out of contention. Brad Wright, big smile on his face as he works his way around the racetrack. Now, Brad Wright needs to make sure he does not make a mistake, and he could have this race in hand.
Right behind them, the battle for third, the 5 and the number 21 cars. Battle for position. They saw Davies in front hit the wall, and they smiled as well as you look back to Connor McKenzie from Thomas Hazard. Battle for third off corner number 2.
McKenzie looks at the inside going down the back straightaway, but he doesn't have enough of a run there. Hazard holds on to that third place spot. McKenzie's in 4th.
The battle for third spot continues. Thomas Hazard has it. Connor McKenzie wants it. The TC's custom die-cast sponsored ride works his way towards that back bumper of the number 5 of Thomas Hazard. Hazard on older tires. Connor McKenzie trying everything he can to track down Thomas Hazard. I believe, Tim, Connor McKenzie also on older tires.
I believe they came down pit road under that caution flag. Darrell will have to double check. Meanwhile, as these guys battle, John Gorlinski is closing in as well. Gorlinski would like a top 3 run as we got 1 car smoking here down the back.
Yeah, that's a lap car. The last time by, Brad Davies gained 0.3 of a second on Brad Wright. Brad Wright right now has a .466 second lead over Davies as they come out of the start-finish line. This time we'll see if he can cut it down anymore. Last time 0.466 seconds. This time 0.51. Brad Wright able to stretch it out just a tiny bit that lap.
Brad Wright, your race leader, closing in on some lap traffic potentially. This could be a wrench in the works for Brad Wright, the rookie to the series, trying to close in on his first win here within the NASCAR iRacing.com Series World Championship. We'll see if Brad Wright can hold on for the win. The rookie trying to hold off the consummate veteran. Brad Wright, right up into the outside wall. That'll slow right down. Here comes Davies.
Davies is closing in a hurry. Brad Wright out in front with 2.5 laps to go. All Brad Wright has to do is hit his marks, and he hit the wall this last lap by. 2 to go this time by, sticks in the air.
5 car lengths now separate the two drivers. Make it 4 car lengths. Make it 3 car lengths going into corner number 2. 0.258 seconds is the interval of the last lap, and we got a lap and a half to go. Brad Wright leads them down the back straightaway.
Connor McKenzie made his way around Thomas Hazard, so McKenzie has third. Now the battle is left on the racetrack. Would be that battle for the top spot. They'll work their way now towards the stripe. White flag. One more trip around the racetrack. Brad Wright is your race leader. Second spot is Brad Davies. Davies trying everything in his bag of tricks to track down Brad Wright. They'll work their way down the backstretch. Final time now. Through turns 3 and 4. Tim Terry, take us home. The rookie trying to grab his first win.
Wright's got to be clean through corner number 4. Don't get into the wall. He does that. Coming down. Checkered flag flies. Brad Wright is now a winner in the NASCAR iRacing Series World Championship. Brad Davies will come home in second place. And third belongs to the young one, Connor McKenzie. Thomas Hazard, John Gorlinski round out your top 5. And Nim, I believe the 13 might be a very happy driver. I remember back to 1 week ago at the Landon Castle Qualifying Challenge, this same track, this same car, and Brad Wright came out for his lap, and he hit the wall. And you'd have to think maybe a flashback when he hit the wall here with 3 laps to go.
Brad Wright, one of the most popular drivers in this series, one of the nice guys of the series. Brad Wright, very respectful guy. A lot of these guys are friends with him, and this will be a very popular victory here in the NASCAR iRacing.com Series World Championship. Brad Wright is your race winner here at Darlington.
So Brad Wright, the rookie, celebrates the win, and it's a hard-fought win to say the least, and a well-deserved win. Brad Wright takes home the win. Brad Davies takes second. Third goes to Connor McKenzie. Fourth to Thomas Hazard. Fifth to John Gorlinski. Sixth is Brian Schoenberg. Seventh is Brian Blackford, and what a great finish for Brian Blackford. 8th is Patrick Fogel. 9th is Pedro Mojica. And rounding out your top 10 is Charles Cosper. We'll give you the full field rundown when we come back. Don't you dare go anywhere. Brad Wright, and a very happy Brad Wright, coming at you when we come back on PSR TV. You're watching the NASCAR iRacing.com Series World Championship post-race coming up next right here on PSR TV.
iRacing.com is the premier online racing simulation featuring head-to-head competition on your PC. Race from your home PC, competing on the world's best real-world cars and tracks. Thousands of race fans and scores of pro racers like Dale Jr. and Justin Wilson are already racing at iRacing. Experience the thrill of victory yourself and go racing today at iRacing.com.
Welcome back here on PSR TV. Here is your unofficial finishing order. Again, when you see it on the broadcast, it's unofficial. It's made official by the administrators here at iRacing. It's made by the administrators here at iRacing, the official finishing order. So the unofficial finishing order, Brad Wright takes the unofficial win. Second goes to Brad Davies. Third to Connor McKenzie. Fourth to Thomas Hazard. Fifth goes to John Gorlinski. Sixth to Brian Schoenberg. Seventh goes to Brian Blackford. Eighth to Patrick Vogel. Ninth to Pedro Mojica. And rounding out your top 10 is Charles Cosper.
Finishing in 11th is the number 2 of Ray Alfala. Two drivers who had fantastic runs tonight. Greg Spears, 38 in 12th. Byron Daly, the 18, in 13th position. Tyler Hudson, Jean Costa, and Florian Goddard all one lap down, 14th through 16th, respectively. 2 laps down, Justin Lowry and Vinny Sansoni, 17th and 18th place, respectively. Jesse Atchison had a strong run going until the late stages. He's going to finish in 19th, 3 back, and Jamison Spees finishes in 20th.
Darren Stevens brought it home in 22nd was Nolan Scott. Darren in 23rd. Jordan Erickson was in 24th. Finishing in the 25th spot is Jason Anderson. Chris Main 26th. 27th, Richie Davidowitz. Andrew Fast III got 28th. 29th goes to Matthew Moose. Robert Hall brings it home in the 30th spot.
31st position goes to Steve Sheehan. 32nd is Daniel Pope II. 33rd is Josh Parker, followed by Richard Towler, Joshua Lawton, then Dana Weimer, John Prather with a tough run, but also a hard run as well. Thomas Lewandowski, Stephen Gilbert, Sandeep Banerjee to 40th. Josh Connors, Josh Berry, and Justin Trombley finish out your running order. Again, all those finishes are unofficial here tonight. We're going to go ahead and pitch it down to Tim Terry, who is caught up with a very happy and a very well-deserving happy Brad Wright.
And Brad Wright finally coming home in victory lane. How does it feel to finally be called the NASCAR iRacing.com Series World Championship race winner?
And it feels really good. I've been edit this for a while and just really speechless. Just excited. That's all I can say. Just really lost the words right now.
We saw you early in this race in that first 42-lap green flag run, a half straightaway ahead of the leader, and then all of a sudden you come through and end up in victory lane. Talk about that first stint of green flag racing tonight.
Oh man, it was wild. I started off from the pit road because my game crashed, and I started off about 6 seconds behind the pack, so it was tough. And I wasn't a race-winning car at the beginning of the race by no means. I had to really work on this thing to get it to turn off the corners, and coming through the field like that's tough. So it's very surprising.
About 10 laps to go in the race, Brad Davies scrapes the wall, and he falls back about 5 or 6 car lengths from you, and then you scrape the wall with about 3 laps remaining in the race. When you got into the wall, what was going through your mind coming towards those last couple of laps?
I was just worried about Brad Davies. He was coming on strong. He was picking me off there a couple hundredths a lap, and I hit the wall, and it got me a little bit worried, but I just know that I had to be smooth, and that's all that it was going to take, because Brad Davies was starting to get a little loose off the corners, and I knew if I could just keep it off the wall and get it slowed down, I could, keep him at the distance.
Unofficially, you're going to move to 3rd place in points as well. That's got to be a boost heading forward in this season.
Yeah, it's great. When I come into the series, I had no intentions of even running for the championship. I was just hoping for a top 15, maybe sneak in some top 10, top 5 finishes. But it's just really amazing to myself and my teammates, how they improved over the past 6 months.
And also the leading rookie in this series as well. Brad Wright coming home with the win here this evening at Darlington. Before we let you go, Brad, who makes it happen for this 13 team?
Main Performance Racing helps me week in and week out. Jeremy Allen, most notable. Me and him's working every week consistently together, and we're able to produce some good stuff. Just want to thank Thomas Hazard there, Josh Berry, everybody else. I mean, they make it happen for me week in and week out, and their support's really what keeps me running every week.
There we go. There's our winner from this evening's race at Darlington, Brad Wright, and I believe, Daryl, you've caught up with our 4th place finisher, Thomas Hazard.
Indeed, I have. Thomas Hazard, 4th place on the racetrack. Unofficially, we have you taking over the points lead here tonight. Congratulations on a solid run. You stayed out there on some older tires, rolling the dice, perhaps some big picture racing.
Yeah, I actually didn't mean to stay out there. I had some issues getting on the pit road there. I don't know what happened exactly between the two Brads, but there's a big stack up, and Hudson went to avoid Brad Wright, and I slammed on the brakes and spun out to avoid Hudson, and I think Ray ran into me, so sorry to Ray for that, but it ended up turning out to be a decent call. I think it actually benefited me because I had not crossed the pit-in line yet, so I was able to stay out and retain the lead, so I think because of that I've actually ended up with a better finish than I would have had I pitted.
Well, you wind up taking home a 4th place finish, and how difficult is it to control one of these cars out there on this racetrack with worn out tires when everybody else around you has fresher tires?
Yeah, it's a challenge for sure, but thankfully Pat Fogel did some excellent work with the setup, and also Josh Berry, and they were able to come out with a pretty good setup, and I went to tweaking on a little bit and got it more to my liking, and even on the even on the older tires there at the end, it was actually still handling pretty good.
Well, tell us about coming out of here as potentially the best of our knowledge, the unofficial points leader. That's going to be special to you.
Yeah, it's certainly awesome. Got to cherish anytime you got the points lead, man, because this is so hard. I mean, this is cutthroat racing, man. It's most challenging out there, but we still got a long ways to go, and I'm just thinking about Charlotte now.
Speaking of Charlotte, have you guys started planning for Charlotte, or does the planning start tonight immediately following the checkered flag?
No, I think we're just gonna take the night off, and big congrats to Brad Wright. We'll enjoy winning as a team. I think we did pretty good. I know a few of them guys got involved in an accident, but probably tomorrow or Thursday we'll probably get a jump on Charlotte.
Well, looking forward, I know that the team usually performs quite well when you guys are able to run on a big, wide-open racetrack, and Charlotte seems to be a racetrack that suits you guys quite well. Before we let you go, let's hear about friends, teammates, sponsors who helps make it happen for you, bud.
Just biggest thing, Main Performance with Michael Main over there. He's been big help throughout the last couple seasons, and also Bido Gaming Cockpit as a secondary sponsor. And, big shout out to, obviously, I already said, but Pat Fogel and Josh Berry for the hard work on the setup this week.
There you go. That's Thomas Hazard. Comes home with a 4th place finish, and more importantly, unofficially, points leader leaving here this evening. So big move in points here for Thomas Hazard. We'll pitch it down to Nim Cross, who was caught up with our 5th place finisher, easy for me to say, John Gorlinski.
John Gorlinski brings the Wrangler number 15 home in the 5th spot tonight, John. Good race out there tonight. Got a couple hairy moments coming off corner number 2, but that's Darlington. How'd your race go?
It went pretty good. I gotta give a call to my crew chief, who is me, and the driver, who's also me. I had a good setup. I probably had one of the faster cars. I couldn't get track position at all right until the end there. It played out perfectly. And I think Hazard spun going to the pits or whatever and decided to stay out right at the end, and we just kind of wheeled it and somehow got 5th. It's hard racing out there. I mean, no one really gives an inch, even on lap 20. I Felt like I was getting pushed around all over the place. I don't know what the deal is with that, but we'll move forward to Charlotte.
Well, yeah, definitely bringing her home in 5th place. That'll help you in the points. We'll see where you wind up there. Good. Got to feel good about a top 5 finish coming out of Darlington with this track being so tough. And yeah, you push around, but there's not a lot of room out there.
Yeah, there's not room, but there were parts where people could have cut some slack. I mean, it's Darlington and it's a DWC. You can't blame them, but I try to race clean, and just lately I feel like I'm not getting as much room as I need sometimes. But I mean, we'll handle that and move on forward.
Heading out to Charlotte Motor Speedway here in 2 weeks. A lot more room there, but the track's still pretty tough. Pretty quick track, and you gotta work on a good setup to get around that place good, especially in this field. When do you start working on that?
I'll probably start working on it tomorrow. My last college final of my career is tomorrow morning, so after that I have like 2 weeks to do nothing, so I'll be fast at Charlotte, hopefully.
Well, wish you good luck on those college finals. Who do you want to say hi to, or who helped you out?
Say hi to my parents. I know they watch these things, so hi Mom and Dad. Give a shout out to Brad Wright for winning the race. I didn't think I'd see that ever, but I mean, and Wrangler and Junior Motorsports and all my teammates that helped work on the setups, and everyone else I'm forgetting, all the little people.
All right, John, thank you for stopping in. Good race tonight. We'll see you at Charlotte in 2 weeks, and we're going to throw it over to Tim Terry, who's caught up with Brian Schoenberg.
Brian Schoenberg had an up-and-down night. Brian, you come home in position number 6. Talk about the roller coaster that was Darlington.
Boy, what a roller coaster, Tim. You're right. We were just running around the top 10 first part of the race, got some track position. My team, Jason Papalofin with the J1 Motors, Donnie St. Hours, and Alan Cryer. We were just calling the race. One time we stayed out and we got track position. We held on the top 5 pretty much the whole race. I don't know what happened, but I remember we were almost too wide coming out of turn 2, which is never a good recipe at Darlington. And I think Brad or someone got into me, but he did a good job not wrecking me. Got a 2X, lost 800 spots, and we drove up as far as I could. I mean, 6 was all I had there. We should have probably had a top 5. I'm sorry again to Brian Blackford, but he still got 7th, which was good. But I'm just proud of my whole team. We ran good the whole race, and just feels good. Anytime you can get a top 10 at Darlington is great.
Indeed it is, and it maintains your top 10 status in the points. It's going to be 9th place unofficially, coming out 1 point behind Pedro Mojica. Going forward, what are the goals for Brian Schoenberg in the point standings? Do you see yourself as a NASCAR champion at the end of this season?
Well, let's be realistic here. Probably not. My goal at the start of the season was maybe 6th, 7th in points. That'll still pay some money with the way they have the payouts and everything. So, I mean, we're competitive. We get a lot of help from people like Ray Alfala. Pedro Mojica helped us a lot with the qualifying setup this week. But that's the first week I really ran a race setup sheet. And, God, we ran really good. We had such a good car. The restarts were a little tough, but like I said, 6th, 7th, somewhere around there in points would be a goal.
Now looking forward to Charlotte in 2 weeks. What does the team have for the Charlotte Motor Speedway?
Hopefully a good car. I know at Darlington you run some speedway setups and stuff, and that's our first race on this new build, so I'm pretty pumped up with the way our car drove tonight. We just gotta thank Inside Sim Racing, Proki Consulting, Xlander, I can't talk right now, I'm too pumped up. Xlander Designs, and we just did a good job. We got a really good team, and hopefully top 5 or so. I feel like with Jeremy and Brad winning races, I feel like I'll never win a race in my life, but you know what? Whether you win or you're a champion, that doesn't define who you are, and we'll just go to every race and do the best we can, but hopefully top 5 at Charlotte.
There's still 11 more races to go to get that extra appearance on Hot Lap Radio. I know Daryl's trying to pencil in some races that you might very well win before the end of this season. You mentioned the sponsors, Brian. If there's anybody else out there you want to thank or any final thoughts from the ride at Darlington, the mic is all yours.
JD Laird, that guy's awesome. He paints cars. He paints real cars now. He does everything. So let's give a shout out to JD Laird. He's the only one I didn't thank. But also real quick, I know I said Inside Sim Racing, but Darren Ganji, Sean Cole, we've been letting him down, and tonight was a good rebound for us, so I hope the show was pretty decent to watch. Gonna go watch the archive race with all my buddies here, like we do after every race, and just thank you guys for interviewing me. It's a good time.
There we go. There's Brian Schoenberg, another great top 10 run, top 10 in the point standings. Can't complain for Brian Schoenberg. And Daryl, next up on our schedule here at PSR TV is coming up in a week and a half on the 21st. That is the next iRacing World Championship Series road racing event. That comes to us from Mazda Raceway, Laguna Seca. It's going to be Frosty St. Clair and myself calling the action. And I tell you what, we're going to heat up some pizza.
And my favorite racetrack on the entire planet, Mazda Raceway, Laguna Seca. I love that racetrack. There is no better road course, in my opinion, my humble opinion, than Mazda Raceway, Laguna Seca. The corkscrew is my favorite turn in all of racing. I've never made it through there clean, but I absolutely love that racetrack, and it's one of those races that I have marked on my calendar. I can't wait to watch the best in all of iRacing take to that racetrack in those race cars. It's going to be one to mark on the calendar and one to make sure you don't miss.
Indeed it is, Daryl, and you look at the fantastic show that the road racing guys have put on this season. Gregor Hutu finally getting his first win. The My 3 ID guys kind of struggled at the last race that we had at VIR, and they have a stranglehold so far on this series. Klaus Kivickas, Hugo Luis, Jesse Niemanen. It's going to be fun to watch to see if those guys can really rebound and try to take the momentum back away from Team Redline and Gregor Hutu. That all comes up in a week and a half, and then Nim, after that on that next Tuesday night, we have Charlotte.
Charlotte's going to be a blast. It's a very fast track, over 200 miles on front straightaway. It's good grooves through the corner, and you can use the whole track there, which should be very exciting. But it's fast, it's high banked, and it's where a lot of these NASC teams hang out. So a lot of big weekend coming up here. Getting close to that Memorial Day week for the 600 and the All-Star race and the NASCAR iRacing.com Series World Championship race.
So the next 2 weeks, there you go. You've got it all planned out, penciled into your calendar, and make sure you don't miss either Mazda Raceway Laguna Seca, which is going to be a phenomenal race, or Charlotte Motor Speedway. Both of them coming up live here on PSR TV. Should be a lot of fun, and we got the action right here on PSR TV. You can also catch them on iRacing.com. That's going to wrap it up on behalf of Tim Terry and Nim Cross and all of us. That includes Zach Stanko, Ian Bushing, Chuck Johnson, everybody, Matt Racing Kid Thomas, Ilka Hapola, everybody involved in all of these broadcasts. I'm Daryl Morley, thanking you so much for tuning in. See, Ilka, I didn't forget you this time. Thanking you so much for tuning in and reminding you, keep it shiny side up and rubber side down, and always, always, always keep that hammer down. We'll see you next time right here on PSR TV.